Hey, welcome back to the Metropole Grid. Captain, bring me my grayest shirt. It's here for this stream. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing well. It is a Thursday evening here. It's like just the top of the May. Normally at the top of the month, we're joined by our goodest boy, Patrick Sklar. Unfortunately, Patrick is a bit under the weather. Hopefully he's doing a bit better now. He checked in on Monday and said that he actually got COVID for the first time ever. So he's doing fine. He's doing fine. No big worries. He'll be fine. Where's Patrick? There's Patrick. Yeah, no, maybe next week, but he's not doing so well. Yeah, a lot of folks are sick around this time of the year. It just kind of catches up with you. The sun, we haven't seen the sun in a long time. Yo, howdy, Andre. Want to see you last week, and now I'm starting to write things for the deck list. I was just going to ask you because I saw your name attached to the CO, and I know you won with the Thule deck, and I was really wondering, Joe, what you did in terms of how much more creative you made your Thule deck, because there's only one good Thule deck I care about, and that's yours. It's really cool. Let's catch up right at the top. You sound great. How's it going? GLC keeps getting these links about 10 minutes before the stream goes live. I'm impressed with the time channeling and that you have a plan 10 minutes before the stream. 10 minutes is about the time where the plan kicks in. I'm assuming you're saying that because you see the name of the stream, and generally, honestly, this has gone largely unaddressed through the history of the Metropole Grid Thursday stream, is that I'll have a really bad kind of cryptic crossword, maybe that's overselling it, link to whatever we intend to stream this evening. Obviously, today we're going to be doing a fair bit of ESSA, because ESSA's been putting up results. ESSA's been doing really well competitively in the last couple of weeks, including this deck and some other decks as well. So we're going to be taking some core damage for sure. Hey Parallel, hey Ixran, hey Stev, how's it going? Spark Science, howdy. Yo Eric, how's it going? Hi yo. I know Neon Static has another episode that just came out, I think today. I've only got like 10 minutes in so far. I just haven't had time yet, but I'm excited to watch it. Yo Izzy, hey stream. Izzy posted these two lists. I was just reading through these. I think these are really good. So on Green Level Clearance, they're doing a tournament, an event that's only system gateway only, if I'm not mistaken. You know, newer players, getting people in the game. And so Izzy wrote up these actually like pretty good write-ups to talk about, like, these are two decks you could play if you want to play in only the system gateway meta, and the system gateway doesn't have a lot of cards, so admittedly a lot of the decks are going to be similar, but I do think that taking that minimal cards, this is a pretty good deck. And then the criminal one's also really quite good. I think they're both quite fine. You can play Dow too if you want, but if you want to check out a write-up, these are currently on the front page of Netrunner DB. Really well done, Izzy. Good write-up. He made us watch it for 1.5 hours for a single game. Wait, what happened? Slow play or just like untimed finals? That's amazing. It's pretty much the same Thule deck, to be honest, and it makes it harder to write something new for it. Oh, I don't feel pressured to do that. Like, you can literally just link it back to the original deck and be like, if you want to read a deck write-up, read that deck write-up. Like, people just want to see the deck write-up, especially if there's a lot of people that care about Thule. Makes sense. ESSA goes zoomies. ESSA seems pretty okay. ESSA is like one of those weird decks that it's different than Reg Anarch, Red Criminal, right? Like, you're doing something different, and there's a bunch of these cards that I think, and I'm not going to say I told you so, that's not the point at all, not that I am saying that, but there's these sort of cards that I think are drastically different, that sometimes see a bit of slower adoption. So I think a lot of people had, you know, almost no reason when Boat was around to like really want to do ESSA if they want to get competitive results, and now that things are kind of calmed down, playing Banhar, let alone ESSA's core damage package, seems pretty cool, and I think it's actually converting, which is really quite cool. Do you think that translates to standard as well? Yeah, all the ESSA decks that are doing well are not startup decks. I think ESSA decks or standard decks are doing really well. And he's getting all Netrunner famous. If I know it'd be featured on stream, I'd have some terrible GIF at the top. It's not too late. I think you can edit a deck list right up, but don't quote me on it. Untimed finals. Oh man, had to go to grand finals. You came back from behind 2 games in a row. I'm mostly teasing Joe about this point. Banhar is an amazing card. Banhar is such a good card. Banhar inherently does something that's super, super broken. For those who have been playing Netrunner for a while, you might notice this card, and this card was incredibly important for the meta. It was the meta kind of revolved around this. This was an AI called Faust. And again, when Faust came out, it wasn't a big deal. Nobody played Faust. It feels for weeks, if not maybe a month after it came out. And then eventually the whole meta kind of revolved around it because people realized the paid abilities that seem pretty intimidating are just kind of messed up, because it was very easy to make an Anarch deck that had more card draw than economy at the time. And then you could use other Anarch tools to break the highest dice and the lowest dice, and then you just have to use Faust for everything in the middle, which turns out to be very manageable. And this card was eventually, I think, banned. It was currently banned. Funny enough, it was unbanned years later, and it just didn't have the tools and draw engine to support it. But this is kind of, to me, what this felt like what this feels like. You can't charge out on a single remote server, and generally most decks, barring, you know, Jinteki PE, net damage subroutines are worse than whatever subroutines they're trying to get to you. So yeah. Well, Andre won't tell you he told you so. I'd recommend going back and checking his calls in the tier list just to see if he did tell you so. I'm pretty sure we both said that this is a card that is one day going to be like really, really, really powerful, and it just hasn't been explored yet. But yeah, this thing is great. We do need to revisit the tier list at some point. I honestly think, like, do you think that this thing is going to get banned at some point? I just still don't understand. Ice got better too. Yeah, Ice did get a fair bit better. There was a lot of Ice that was played just because of the way it interacted with Faust, but this is something that like wildly swung around our tier lists. I think it went from like the best card ever to like a niche card to the best card ever. And I just don't see how, like, I feel like this card is just gonna be a thing for Netrunner forever. Like, I feel like the existence of this card puts an immediate ceiling on the power of things you can put in remote servers that aren't agendas. And then that means to some extent that they can print more powerful stuff. And then if you don't have a way to deal with it, like pinhole threading, that stuff goes unchecked. But then if you have pinhole threading, like I don't, if someone says, can I put MC austerity policy in my ASA deck? I'd probably be like, it's not worth it. Every good deck has 2 to 3 pinholes in it. How are you going to protect this thing? And this doesn't make sense to me. It feels like so much of the design space is getting crowded on, just absolutely dunked on by this one card. So I'm not sure what's going to happen to this thing. This thing is like absurd. It's really, really wild. Can't say I'm a fan of pinhole. Yeah, I don't know where, like, I'm a fan of pinhole because it deals with a lot of the necessary evils at this point. But I'm just like, nobody's playing borehole. And like, of course no one's playing borehole, but like, you know why no one's playing borehole. It just doesn't make any sense. I've seen so much less pinhole. I think a lot of decks are now down onto 2 pinhole, but I don't see why you would play a deck without 2 pinhole. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, happy Thursday, Buzz. How's it going? I tried playing borehole this week at the pub. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? Like if you want any card you want to protect in a remote server, it just doesn't stay. And like pinhole does some really cool things. Like there's aggression, trash to Reseda, trash to Regolith. But like to me, I don't know. I've been watching some HB decks, and HB decks, you know, they largely depend on what they can stick in the remote server in the first 2-3 turns, even turn 1. And like pinhole is just absolutely pulling them apart. It's just so hard to get a deck that generates value off of having something in a remote server without having either like enough recursion, which I don't even think that's a thing anymore. I don't know. This one is getting me. This one's really weird. But pinhole seems like it's going to be a problem at some point. No one's playing borehole because it's worse keeling. Hey, Cold Lava, how's it going? It's definitely worse keeling. But in those like outfit decks, you kind of just want bad pub. I don't think you're actually trying to win the game. But like nobody's even trying to win the game with borehole. I haven't seen a deck that's trying to win the game with borehole. And obviously keeling's better. We're not going to deny that, but you know what I mean? People are still playing keeling and stuff, even with the pinhole. Warraid is good negating the pinhole's effect. Yeah, Warraid is like one of the, you know, the ways to deal with pinhole. In theory, technically, it's not the best, right? Like you just go with an empty board and pinhole archives. It's actually one of the, like, pinhole is one of the best things in some ways against Warraid. Because if you don't have a board state, you just run archives turn 1 and you can pinhole, and Warraid doesn't matter. Obviously, Warraid always matters, but Warraid, like, yeah, it makes the pinhole a bit harder to do if you don't have established economy. That's for sure. But it's cool that this card specifically works against pinhole the way that other like defensive cards don't. Like Hokusai Grid won't fire when you pinhole it because you don't make a successor on the server. So anything that punishes you for trashing. So it's like Warroid Tracker. And then what's the other one? The Wayland one that everyone forgets the name of? That gives you a tag. Nobody really plays that, but that one as well. It's strange. There's cards that, you know, protect other things in the server. And so pinhole doesn't get there all the time. Also for memeing, I've been slotting LTF in my runner deck. How's that been going? Because, like, man, Light the Fire is such a fun card. We were playing a copies today for sure. Obviously, Light the Fire is really cool. And this conversation has come up how this is the card, you know, abstractly can deal with those PE decks that have Warroid and like 7 other things on the remote server. But then the problem still remains that you have to run the remote server on turn 3 into like an Anansi. And that's like really hard for Annex to do consistently. So there's a chance that like if you want to do Light the Fire with some sort of consistency, maybe you play Banhar. Because that's the one card that can say, oh, I don't care what's in the remote server, I'm going to go through it. And mind you, it was called out in chat, Endless Eula, let alone like what's it called, Anansi is going to be a problem. Never used LTF once yet, but only played against PE once. I think I've installed Light the Fire in maybe half of the games that's in the deck, and I think I've fired it never times. Overseer Matrix, thank you, that's the one, yeah. Borehole decks are meme decks, and I stand. Stab, have you fired it? Have you won a game yet? I'm continually surprised how many cards are turning into more tech cards than actually main strategy cards. What do you mean by that? I feel like it's cool that they have things like borehole and keeling that they probably wouldn't have made if not for an option like Pinhole. The thing is, like, before Pinhole, there were cards that did Pinhole-like stuff. For those uninitiated, Political Operative was the old Pinhole, and it was not a card that you saw as a 2 or 3 of, because it was a card that was a bit more nuanced and required setup. But that being said, this card was something you put on the table, and then you fired it if and when you needed it. So basically, you only play this if you ran HQ, and then you can spend X credits to trash a res card with the trash cost X. But you could do this at instant speed. So this card actually had huge legs into any sort of like fast advance combo where you could like trash the sand before they scored out, or trash the thing that was going to do 2 meat damage to kill you after a brain rewiring combo or something like that. So this card was like the closest we had to it, a way to like get into HQ and then use that to like leverage the remote server. But yeah, it's a bit slower. It's a bit harder to do. Pinhole is it's a fair bit simpler, that's for sure. You have not, okay. I actually won via borehole twice on Tuesday, but when the runner's entire rig is botchless fermenter and they have 1 credit, turns out that you can just purge every turn. Yeah, you need something that pushes your board state forward to be able to purge every turn. It turns out the one that says I win in 5 turns if I keep purging is going to get there. That's really funny. Again, play Banhar maybe. Okay, cool. Let's talk about this deck. So this is an ESA deck. I got some feedback somewhat recently when we did a stream where we played against ESA, I believe. And the question was like, hey, ESA, or not specifically ESA, but Sabotage, how do you play against it? It's something that I think is going to provide a lot of frustration to a lot of players, specifically also in Startup. Mind you, I think ESA is pretty relevant. That was asked whether ESA could be played in Startup. Definitely can. I think ESA in Startup is totally fine. And the question is like, Startup is technically, or not Startup, excuse me, Sabotage is inherently a skill testing question. The idea is that the corporation decides where the damage comes from. And you can have some idea of how bad the top of the deck can be, but again, you can Sabotage 2 or Sabotage 3 in some cases and just lose the game on your first Sabotage if you just, you know, wantonly Sabotage from the top of R&D. From what I've seen so far, and I'm not going to say that I'm an expert at sabotaging correctly, but I've seen, or I've heard at least, a lot of players who are unwilling to sabotage from HQ because they find that losing cards from hand is considered loss of tempo. While losing a card off the top of R&D is a random card inherently, it's not a card you've drawn. So while you lose an unknown card, you don't have to like redraw cards to fill your hand up. And I don't know if I always agree with that. We're going to find out today whether that's true or not, but I find a lot of times taking the safe sabotage from HQ is something that you want to consider more often than not, specifically also if HQ is well guarded. That is something that is actually, I think, well capitalized on in Grey Tongue's list. I think this list has like a legwork in it, right? Yeah, and I think inherently like sabotage is HQ pressure. The idea is that if corporations are consistently throwing out their worst cards in HQ, their non-agenda cards in HQ, legwork works really well. And so I do value cards like this, any sort of these pressure cards. But it's worth knowing that as long as your centrals are sealed up well, relatively well enough, I'm actually better generally getting stuff off of HQ. It's also really important. Again, sabotage is something that just opens up you to more sabotage the longer the game goes, is that if you have a deck that has a proactive scoring plan that you can close the game by like turn 12 left to your own devices, and you largely can be left to your own devices sometimes with these decks. That helps a lot because going to turn 20 with sabotage is not a winning proposition. So you have to watch out. I found sabotage to be a very powerful mechanic to stick. As in a powerful mechanic for you to capitalize on, or like to get enough for it to do something. I guess those are both the same thing. Yeah, but that's one of the things. It's like sabotage is really hard to evaluate because I do think some people are going to have frustrations with it, but admittedly to some extent, and this feels terrible saying it, that there is some amount of skill issue with sabotage. I have no doubt that some people are going to sabotage worse than others, and then they're going to feel sabotage is more or less powerful. Now, it looks like sabotage decks are actually doing relatively well at top tables, where you're assuming the people they're playing against are relatively sabotaging as, you know, to make it as less of a threat as it can. So it's probably still quite good, but we're going to try and keep that in mind when we play to see like what we can do if we ever play against it, how powerful it does seem. This is deck. First at Sterling CO. I don't know where Sterling is. This deck went 2-2 in the Swiss and 2 in the cut, so still there in the cut, and it's an evolution of Grey Tongue's list. So this is Grey Tongue, crit HD, hit D20. Posted this list a while ago. I think Gray specifically said that this is not an optimized list. This is something that they've been playing recently. So it has some very interesting inclusions and non-inclusions. I think we're losing the whole Banhar package, which just feels like such a strong thing that you can be doing. We're also not running Botulus, which is another way to cheat around ice in standard format, albeit we have all these events, and then we're playing Ghost Tongue, which is phenomenal. It's just a way to make so much value from this, because inherently if we're not playing a lot of resources, we're not even playing Fermenter. All our money is going to be dependent on our event package, and then we're going to need a fair bit of card draw to go alongside with that. But this deck, and specifically this deck too, you have what you think you're going to have. We're on 3 Nuka. I really like Nuka in these sort of lists. You're inherently taking big chunks of core damage, let alone big chunks of net damage by putting Banhar down. So having a button that you can put on the table and then just draw when and if you need it is amazing. It's not like hoping that I keep our diesel in hand after we run through an ice and take 3 net damage. It's putting your diesel on the table and are able to use it twice. Obviously, it's a fair bit slower, but for a deck that can very quickly transport their cards into immediate value by just face smashing into anything with Banhar, I think I like that a heck of a lot. 1 3 Ghost Tongue and 3 Marrow. I think there's arguments about how many of these you should play. I think 3 Marrow is pretty likely, just because we need our hand size to not be terrible. And this does have an ability that's technically relevant the sooner you set it up. And then 3 Ghost Tongue, which is just a very good economic card. Obviously, you want to try to take 1 core damage a turn if you're set up, just so you can get that S ability once a turn. So making sure you have targets is fantastic. And this card on its own should give you 5 to 6 to 10 credits, depending on the length of the game. So it's important to find it early. I found, though, sometimes I play 2, and I don't know. I'm not convinced you need 3 of, but I see the argument why you do for sure. We have a whole lot of events. 3 Chestushka. I'm really surprised with this list. Chestushka, this is the big thing against playing against Essa, is that there's 2 big pressure cards they're playing on top of their general sabotage plan. Firstly, there's 3 Chestushka. This is the most sabotage on a single card, if I'm not mistaken. Runs HQ for 2 credits if you Ghost Tongue it, and that's a lot of damage. The other one is Finality, and this list is only running 1 copy of them. I honestly, what I've played in startup is decks are running 3 Finality, and then with Banhar, you can like Finality turn 1 or turn 2. And not only is this access 4 cards, you took core damage, so there's sabotage too. So this inherently is like 6 accesses with a single card potentially, and I find the fact that we're playing 1 to be, to me, a bit surprising. I think I'd like to play more of these, specifically in a Banhar list. It'll come down to, oftentimes, if we're taking too much core damage, this is not sustainable. You 100% need 3 of, in my mind, Ghost Tongue, just to set it down early. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if we're not playing, like, again, any other economy card largely besides our events and Ghost Tongue. So I buy it. I've just found many times that I have my Ghost Tongue in my hand and then I don't play it for a couple turns because I have other things I want to get down. But I don't think you put Marrow down before you put Ghost Tongue down. So that's pretty bad. Let me catch up real quick. Hey, Tim Burnett, how's it going? Just spent my night on the phone with Bell, so I'm ready to experience a less oppressive corporate dystopia like Netrunner. Not a chance in the world. Sorry about that. I know what Bell is like. When playing against me, Joe sacked his Ghost Tongue to install a new one on the ESA trigger. That's like a really real thing here, is that even with Marrow, you can reinstall it to get another core damage trigger. All of these cards, even if they're unique, you can overinstall to install a second copy. Console's included now, so you can just get more core damage. So it's really cool. Ghost Tongue will make 15 credits. Weep, how's it going? Let's keep that in mind. I didn't think it can. I was giving Pat some guff because he was playing Ghost Tongue at a CO in his criminal list, and it's like, it was just a prepaid voice pad. But obviously in this, it probably won't be. It's really cool too. ESA gets like free card draw. So a lot of times when you play something like a running hot, you get the card draw to play another event, and it's actually really easy to get more value off Ghost Tongue than just the once a turn of prepaid voice pad, which we have to admit that this is a very comparable card to prepaid voice pad. Admittedly, if you're playing more than one event a turn, it's a different question. Do you mean dealing net damage to the corpse? Sabotage? Sorry, what do you mean, Sab? Dupes aren't dead if you Banhar them. You know, that's a really big thing. Is like the dupes aren't dead, but I don't think that's a reason why I'd love to play dupes. We could play anything in that slot, but this is one of the decks, just like, you know, the abstract existence of a Maw deck, or not Maw, but it's a carnivore deck where the dupes aren't dead. Otherwise, we have 3 labor rights. This seems like an important card. We're not playing Katurga Breakout, but this is the sort of card that you can use. Technically, it's not the worst on tempo because you draw a card when you play it to shovel back in and sometimes hit your bin breakers into the bin. This is a card that I haven't done enough testing with ESA to understand if I really like it, because it's the sort of card that only really has value if it's in your hand at the end of the game, and it's hard to ensure any card is in your hand at the end of the game if you're consistently taking core, let alone net damage from ESA, let alone Banhar. So I don't know how often this will just hold in our hand, or whether we should be just playing them a bit more on tempo, like mid-game to be like shuffle in 3 Chestushkas, I don't care. And that actually probably is fine, as long as you can get those runs off. Everything else is kind of what you expect. Raindrops is phenomenal, especially when we're Banharing, we get our cards back. Yeah, we get our running hots, which is just a very good card. Steel Skin, of course we are. Dirty Laundry, Deuces. Some of these decks run Bravado. This one's running Creative Commission. We saw Legwork before. And then we have 2 of each breaker. That's totally fine. Again, you could be playing Fermenter, you could be playing Botulus. I think there's some good reasons. And then there's 2 cards I want to shout out that I think were the cards that I would look at this list and think these don't make a lot of sense to me. And turns out actually Dis agrees with that in the comments. They write, like, I would recommend you swapping these 2 cards. That would be Misdirection, which abstractly is a card you can add to your deck if you're really frustrated against things like hard-hitting news and getting a lot of tags all at once. And this is the one card in the format that allows you to clear multiple tags largely easily. But one of the problems with Misdirection is it's only a card that is as good as your ability to produce it when and if you need it. So while you could pre-install this, and that would be okay, I guess, if you get this down early against an NBN or a Wayland matchup, if they hard-hitting and use you, you can't pull this from your deck at instant speed, which is kind of the benefit that Shapers have, that they can use cards like Self-Modifying Code, Simulchip, to get this on the table if and when they need it. So you don't see a lot of decks playing Misdirection unless they have a really good way to get the Misdirection on demand, and we're not that deck. The second one is Severnius. This forces you to see multiple cards from central servers by trashing cards in your hand. And this is a really cool deck. And we played decks on this channel years ago that could actually like mass draw to go see a lot from central servers. I'd argue this amount of multi-access, this kind of multi-access, the cost of this multi-access actually doesn't line up well with our deck. If we're using our Banhar, and maybe at that point we're not, let alone our hand size might be pretty small at the end of the game. This actually is a nice way though to like dunk Nuka and get extra cards out of hand to use this card. It's a really cool card, but it's not recommended that we play it. I think they recommend also that we end up playing something like a DJ Fenris, which is obviously quite good because we can recur our pieces while running centrals, or HQ, excuse me, if we want to do DJ Steve. And then Bravado is just like a pretty big staple in these lists. And I think that sounds really fair. We're also playing 47 cards, so like we have a pretty good incentive. As much as you might think like, hey, we're going to take so much damage from Banhar and core damage, maybe we want more cards. That might turn out to be true. We have to keep in mind. But again, the more consistent you are, the more likely we are to hit Ghost Tongue turn 1, which I think is probably the most important thing. DJ seems so greedy to me. You know what? I'd rather have it instead of DJ if we could play, what's his name? What's the name of the dude? I never got that alt art. The guy who's like run HQ, trash the top of R&D. That's greedy too. It's also wild in terms of greed. Like we're not playing Enga, no surprise. We're not playing Time Bomb, a bit of surprise. And then I think, is there another sabotage card we're not playing? But we're not playing Time Bomb, which is a slow card. It's a bit of a setup card, but it does a lot of damage for a single card. I feel like if you're getting to HQ enough for it, you probably shouldn't be winning already. Oh, if you're getting in over and over again. And that's the thing, is like looking at this deck. Oh, Bagat, thank you, Sneak Door. What a guy. Yeah, Bagat would be fun. I don't know how much money we have in this deck. It's really hard for me to look at this 27 events in Ghost Tongue to see if this is enough to be able to like use our breakers consistently. We're not playing Hippo. We're not playing Liberator. We're not playing Fermenter. We're not playing all of these cards that are pretty like fundamental to Anarchs. So I'm pretty sure we're trying to win relatively quickly off of Sabotage. And we're trying to make the corporation unable to ice up everything to the point that they feel safe. That buys us a bit of like extra like striking distance. But otherwise, I don't know. We don't have an infinite economy engine. Not that most runners do, but I'm actually very interested to see how this goes. I love when decks include cards I have to read, like Severnius Stim Implant. There is a lot of cards in FFG Netrunner, and this is a big thing too. It's like a lot of players come in from startup to standard and say like, oh, standard has how many cards? But there's so many cards that see next to no play. And for better or for worse, and largely for better. And those signal games is better. They put out less content over the same amount of period of time classically, but most of the cards are at least worth experiencing. And I think this is a really cool, flavorful card, but it almost never saw any sort of relevant play. So when the card pool from FFG side is huge, there's a lot of cards that are just not even worth considering, even in the most charitable terms. They're just like not worth considering, as pessimistic as that might sound. Augustina Eva on the Sky is a sabotage card, but bad. Yeah, actually, she's like, you have to build your whole deck around it, right? We have literally no viruses, so we don't really want to consider it. But she was, she is a sabotage card. That's for sure. But what else is there? It's like Enga and like the bomb. We're not playing the bomb. The bomb. Nuclear. And let me tell you, after this, we're going to be looking at, there's a bunch of other ESA decks. I think there's an ESA deck that Cable Carnage plays at another CO that I like the deck from the distance. This is a corp deck. What am I doing? From the distance, I like a fair bit better. I do think it looks a bit more regular, admittedly. I do think it has the botulism and fermenters and kind of plays more like Anarch you expect, while has that like additional Anarch kick or sabotage kick, which I think is cool. Hey, Cody, how's it going? How you doing? Nuclear licks. Okay, let's go. ESA. Up on top. So 47 cards. So just to follow what was recommended, swap Misdirection, Stimplant, and one creative for DJ Fenris and a Bravado. Okay, and to find a last card to cut. So we'll try that again. Whether DJ is good or not, we'll find out, but we'll get rid of this. We'll get a little creative. Mind you, creative is like fine. You could probably save the influence and then just play, what's it called? Wildcat. Maybe they give you card draw. I don't think it's going to be that bad for us if they do. Is there another one influence card that we'd be excited to play in the slot? We'd have to cut something. Maybe we could just float an influence because I don't want to play 47 cards. Oh, wait, no. Hold on. There. How do you see SLS to win in competitive events? Diogene, how's it going? There's a fair few of them. They're actually doing pretty well. There's a bunch. DJ Fenris. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's just add the DJ Fenris and call it a day. Hey, Jenny, how's it going? Good morning. How's Friday looking? Oh, Pinhole. I think Pinhole I'd like a fair bit better. I think this deck like needs a way, admittedly, to deal with what's her name? Vention Keeling, and Pinhole might just do it. Pinhole's sometimes hard for what it's worth. It's like Pinhole is the sort of card that you keep in your hand until it like is relevant, and it generally is relevant turn over turn pretty consistently. But like cards like that are kind of like tech cards you hold in your hand can be rough. So there's a chance that the Pinhole ain't it. We can also like, what else can we DJ Fenris into? We lose DJ Fenris for Anarch, and DJ Fenris Anarch is like kind of reasonable. We'll try it, but I'm not convinced this is great either. By the way, if you're worried about hard-hitting news, you could just play no free home. You can play no one home. It kind of is the same idea as misdirection, but you just install this and forget it, and it's pretty easy to install. But I do think if you're worried about net damage, let alone anything else, you can play no one home. No one home is harder though, because you take your own net damage and you turn it off. Friday morning, cozy and windy. It's an autumn down there. Holding cards is fairly rough for Essa. Yeah, exactly. So if we ever pinhole, we're just not going to be precious with it. We'll just pinhole the remote server. Whatever, we'll just pinhole something. DJ is extremely good with Ghost Tongue. I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. Now it's the Decklist of the week. This is not our decision. Sorry, we'll just change it. No lunch at home. Thanos, how's it going? No one lunch. No home free. Lunch no one is. Let's just fix this. We have no lunch at home. Our oven was broken here for a while now, and I fixed it today, and I just got a new element, put it in. Literally took me 5 minutes, but let me tell you, if you want some sort of like pride at your like homesteadership, give me a simple mechanical chore to do, and I'll knock it out of the park. The lunch at home. My phone doesn't have the correct A accent. Oh, for Essa? Yeah. There's a couple things. I think they fixed it where when you search for Essa's name, it is hard to do because the accent sometimes gets in your way. You sound extremely handy. If the women don't find you handsome, they at least can find you handy. Let's go. It's an old red-green thing. It's like a Canadian thing. It's no big deal. I think labor rates would be the cut to find since Fenris feels recursion a bit. I think that's a good idea. I'm excited to see what labor rates is, but labor rates in our opening hand is pretty bad. It's best of luck. How did you fix said oven? I found the model. I found the manual. That manual told me the model number. So I found out what the element was because one of the elements wasn't working. I found out which element was not working by turning the oven on really hot and then touching it. This hand is like, it's okay. We're gonna have to worry about harding news. We need a Banhart to be able to deal with Trebuchet and Bulwark. But otherwise, nah, Ghost Tongue is probably keepable. I think we want any card draw. We want a Banhart so we can charge our remote servers. We'll consider keeping this. Labor rates is in Magnum Opus only. Wait, what? Face check the oven. And then basically you just pull the element out and you put a new element in and it like you unscrew it. I got the right screwdriver. It was a square head. That's an option you can have for some reason. And it's good to go. Heats up. $35 Canadian. You get that? You gonna buy a new oven? Why? It's a $35 fix. Okay, so Izzy, she could just hard hitting news us on turn 1. We're just gonna hope that this keeps one of these 2 cards. Yeah, well, at least we won't be tempted to get hard hitting news this turn. 2 from HQ. You see, that's good. Okay, so we want to play this last click to gain 5. I do think we just labor rates here. I'm not sure how good it is, but otherwise we click to draw, or we could click to shuffle. No, that's actually really bad. Raindrops is good for face checking. It's really good for face checking. I think, like, what could this be? If it's a Trebuchet, we lose our Ghost Tongue. That's not that good. We only have 4 hand size we have to remember. So I think we just do credit creative. Now our money is up. We can consider raindrops. And we might want to raindrops there, but if we go through like a mouseless, we draw a lot of cards and then we don't know what to do with them. Didn't labor rates only get printed Magnum Opus and its reprint? I missed it. Yes. Oh, that's what you're saying. Labor rates is Magnum Opus. Yes. Labor rates is one of the like 5 Magnum Opus cards. So the only Magnum Opus cards that are like not banned in standard that are really worth playing are labor rates and border control, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there's anything else. This spin doctrine of the table is so important for us that we go ahead and trash it, because with this on the table, core damage or sabotage more accurately doesn't actually do anything. So this is where you'd pinhole this if we had it. But unfortunately we have a DJ Fenris instead. Would love the pinhole here. Bad publicity. We have 1. Why? Too big. 19 credits. That tracks. And they probably have agendas in HQ. So I do think we actually just send raindrops HQ. See how bad this could be. Oh my god, the Embolus hate? Yeah, you played Embolus before, right? We've all played Embolus before. How's it going, Janktivist? Hurdy laundry, I like it. The most we're expecting is 3 subroutines. There is some chance that this could be the Bulwark or the Mouseless. And if that's the case, we're going to lose our whole hand. That being said, we don't want to play DJ Fenders here. We could actually consider DJ Fenders because we get 2 economy options back. And they generally don't res into this. Trashing Spin Doctor to Spin Doctor is so bad, but it costs 1 bad publicity. So we're just going to do it. Had to swap receptacles on the oven before, and that stuff is kind of scary. Swapping elements. Oh, yo, if you're going to do your oven, turn it off. Like, turn the breaker off. I think it's probably a bad idea to give any amount of advice without starting with, if you're going to work with the oven, please hit the breaker. That's so important. You can't hurt yourself if the breaker's off. Well, you could probably cut yourself or something on like a screwdriver. Okay, so we just did that to see what happened. We're going to have to discard cards here. We're going to sure gamble last click, so we're not going to have to. So now we decide what cards to go back. We trashed a Steel Skin Scarring, which is actually why we drew 2 cards. So we're going to draw 1 more card here. I think that's a really sick interaction. So that actually worked out pretty well for us. All right, well, we're going to discard 1 here. DJ Fenris, it's very unlikely we'll be able to run through HQ ice consistently because they're running some of the best ice in the format, and I don't know how we break some of the best ice in the format. So I'm going to actually get rid of the DJ. There's a chance Labor Rights is worse, though. I lost count of how many raindrops I fired the Mouseless at the CO. There's some metas where raindrops is going to be really good. Gotta be honest, hate the way Labor Rights looks. It looks like the art is made by using Wombo Dream. It is using Dream. It is Deep Dream, though. Oh, no, it's not. It's Krembler's art. Excuse me. I thought it was, there's a bunch of the older Ashes cards. There's a couple Labor Rights arts. I think I have 3 of them, including this one. I think my favorite is... Oh, I forget whose art I have. Oh, that's a good question. Who does the Labor Rights art I'm thinking of? I think we can send it HQ here. This is unlikely to end the run. Chestushka, though, with a Spin Doctor on the table is pretty bad. If we face check into server 1 and it's a Trebuchet, we lose our Ghost Tongue, which is like bad. It's not great. Krembler, I think, used Deep Dream as part of the process for this. Oh, good to know. Yeah, Krembler has a fair bit of the art from the earlier sets. I don't know if is there still Krembler art in the upcoming sets? Or like the new sets? That's good to get in the bin as much as we were never going to afford to break a Trebuchet. We'll install that. Again, it's really rough that there's a Spin Doctor on the table, but it's just, we're playing a waiting game here before somebody, you know, gets rid of this. It's from the awkwardly early stages of NSG art. Yeah, it's one of the earlier sets where like it was more about Deep Dream art and there's more, you know, working with external artists. But Krembler does some cool stuff. I don't want to dunk out Krembler. Krembler has a bunch of those like animations that I use as like stream, what's it called? Title cards. By the way, stream, in addition to Gateway Runners, I published it at Gateway Corp. Be nice, I don't play it. So links after. Give them Bravado. I don't want to give Bravado right here. It's very likely this is a Mouseless or an Afshar or something like that. I think we'd probably rather Bravado when we can get a Banhar down. I think we were just waiting for a Banhar there here. Or also to make sure we have enough credits. And I like how Izzy, she's icing up the Spin Doctor. I think that's really important. Again, icing this up just means that we can't really do any core damage. So we did 2 core damage and came 2 from the top of R&D. So that means there wasn't damage from hand. I think this is likely to be an agenda and we can start face checking into it. But again, as soon as it's a Trebuchet, we lose one of our installed cards and that's bad. Ideally, we actually would get the MK Ultra into the bin. We can consider raindropsing the Spin Doctor. I think that's actually relatively reasonable. And then if we lose one of these, we lose one of these. It's pretty bad though if we go down to like 3 hand size. Once you get Banner, you'll be able to get into HQ very consistently. Nah, as soon as there's double ice, we can't really deal with it. Like this is some of the best ice in the format, this deck. And it reses it quickly and cheaply. So like as soon as they put like an Afshar there, like it's 5 credits to go through Afshar. Admittedly, there's bad publicity on the line, but I don't know. Like Banhar single ice, yeah. Banhar 2 ice, I don't know. There's a decision here. So the big breakpoints are Bulwark, which is 10 credits to res. Mind you, it's a refund of 3, so it'll be 7, but you need 10 up front. And Trebuchet, which is 7 to res, 4 with refund. And also, the more that we res, the more that they can fast events out with regulatory capture. No further action. Okay, good enough for us. So the Spin Doctor is going to be cracked. Going to bring back a Spin Doctor for sure. And then these 2 cards here were unknown. We're not going to know which ones they are, but there's 3 face down archives, 2 of them from HQ. I think here we can consider running server 2. Nothing was rezzed here. There's very likely an ice here that could be rezzed at very little cost for the corporation. We're keeping our money up, which is really important. I think we can consider rezzing into that. I think if anything, though, we could put down our MK Ultra first. And so if we hit a Trebuchet, we can at least decide. Last click, how bad is it? I don't know. Besides Steve, was there a different ID that could have helped in this matchup? Oh, that's not good. Steve is by far the best. We have no tags, and we have 3 cards in hand. We actually could die, but I'd be surprised. I think you could maybe consider Los to get some credits, but like Steve just seems to be the best. But I don't remember all of them. I think Los could give us some credits. That's just going to fire. That feels bad. Hey, Pat, how you doing? You feeling okay? That's a Rashida. Okay, bad pub. So we float a tag, so we could die to end of line, but a lot of these decks are running Boom. I'd be surprised if Izzy, if she's playing end of line. If not Steve, I go Sable. Sable's okay. I forgot. Yeah, Sable's better than Los for sure, but worse than Steve. Okay, so we found one mouseless. We have to clear the tag at some point. In terms of agendas, if the agenda isn't advanced, this could be a Spin Doctor. It could be a Rashida. Otherwise, if it's just a 3-2 agenda like an Atlas or an Above the Law, we don't care. And an over advanced Atlas, we start to care considerably. We found a third Raindrops. Mind you, we did shuffle one back. I think we consider Raindropsing this. Bulwark will now trash an MK Ultra, but we'll have the bad pup to install it for free. So let's go in here. And in theory, we died a snare. We probably could have drawed once. I'm literally just took Tylenol because of nose blowing injury. Oh, my dude. That can't be good. There's the Bulwark. Okay, so this gets rezzed. How many subroutines resolve? A couple. And we're going to lose, of course, our choice of program. This is the big Bulwark. This is the big one. So we get through this for 7 with Paperclip, which is like reasonable. We're going to want to clear the tag here. I do think, though, there's a small chance this is a Spin Doctor. And if it is a Spin Doctor, we don't want a running hot here. I think also there's a chance it's a Rashida, but this opens up so much of a turn. So I think we're going to do the Anuka first because we want to get that down. And then we'll do the running hot, which draws us a card. Mind you, it was entirely free. And based off of where Izzy Sabotage is from, 2 from R&D, we can consider going Archives here. Let's Nuka for a Dirty. We don't have it. We have 2 for Breakers now. We're feeling okay. It's kind of wild how much money Essa can get, but we haven't been asked to spend a credit. Like, that's the big thing here is we're not. Ooh, okay. We have no viruses. Tomb of Virus is a lot more than I thought there'd be. There's a Malapert in here. That's a bit interesting. 1 border control down. But we're just not being asked to spend money. So that Alice came off the top of the deck. All right. I do think we want to draw once to throw out the Black Orchestra. So we probably should clear the tag, actually. So let's draw and clear the tag. Draw 2, remove a tag, and then we can discard this. And then we have 2 breakers in the bin. So we're just waiting for a Paperclip. I'm thinking about Citadel rogue trading in this deck instead of no free home or misdirection. It might be hard. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that rogue trading Citadel package, I'm not sure how much influence rogue trading is. But rogue trading is actually a card that feels a bit slow in a couple matchups where it's like kind of hard to play consistently. And you do have some amount of consistent draw. There's a Hostile, Sabotage 1, top of R&D. 1 more unknown in there. 18 credits though. That's a lot of money. Yeah, it's interesting. It looks like it's fast advance and not kill. Maybe the double Mavirus and the Malapert. I would suggest that could be. Malapert sometimes shows up in some of the combo kill decks, but that does mean more likely probably like Biotic Labor type close. We still don't know what server 1 is, and there's a chance if it was a Spin Doctor, it would have been res for Atlas. So there's a chance maybe it's a Malapert, but if it was, that would probably be scored on top of it. So I think that actually could be an agenda stewing. So we just want to find our Paperclip because we actually have the money to contest that. Let's start here. Okay, we need to get the Banhart down for sure. Otherwise, from that point on, we don't have too much to do. Border control will probably end up on HQ. We've seen 1 so far. We don't have a good way to run archives. Let's start here. Let's try and get more core damage this turn. So we'll draw 2. Oh, wow. Gain 3. That's not good. So we get a Banhart down. So now this all has to be double iced. This doesn't do anything the turn it comes down, which is pretty unfortunate, but like relatively fair. And then I think we just play one of these and we're going to discard some cards here, which feels kind of rough. There's some reason to not throw out your second breaker in case you're worried about what's it called? The thing that locks them out of the game. So if you're worried about the bub, I actually think there's a chance with Malapert that we want to kind of play around Arc Lockdown, which allows you to name a card in the heap and remove all copies from the game. So we're going to keep that in hand. I think here, like, the labor rates is probably a bit better. We can, again, always play the second Ghost Tongue to cycle core damage. And that's reasonable. I think if we lose a Banhart to like an Above the Law on server 1, which is actually very likely to be an Above the Law, we want to keep a second one in hand. So I think we will do that and just say that the labor rates is better. As the decks are starting to feel real, get your full art Chaz. I'm going to send out this stuff. I don't know what to do, y'all. I need to ask the chat here. So we did this G&K, oh, it was Rashida, a while ago. Huge shout out to a bunch of people in chat, like Cror and Asfa channel, which are big parts of it, let alone all the people who played. And all the folks, we got all the envelopes signed up. We're going to put cards in them and send it out. But the problem is, for all the people that are asking for prize support, I don't have full play sets of everything to give to everyone. Would you be upset if you received 2 of like full art Chestushkas? Like, does it feel unplayable unless you get all 3? Because I don't know what to do. I think maybe people get 3 and then we'll get some other prize for other people that don't get the Chestushkas. I just don't know what to do because we're like just a bit short to not have 3 of for everyone of like the playset of at least the Chestushkas, the participation prize. That's your last labor rights? No? Yes, it is because the other one's removed from the game. But it's really, really hard to keep it in hand. Like we can't keep this in hand when we're checking the bulwark this turn, right? Like I don't know what to do. It's a hard one. Yeah, Cror, how's it going? I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. To send out 2 ofs, which feels like kind of weird, especially in corp decks. 2 ofs alt arts is pretty bad because it's actually disadvantageous. For runners, it doesn't matter so much. Depends on the card. So here, I think we just Nuka and charge server 1. If we get a raindrops, we get a raindrops. It's really good. I think we're going to keep our money up first, and then we're going to charge server 1. So these subroutines will be 3 net damage. Hopefully we get the paperclip in the bin. Again, if we got a hippo here, we could maybe deal with this, but slots are hard. 2 of Chaz isn't great, IMO. We lost MK Ultra, we lost Paperclip, we lost Ghost Tongue. That's actually really good hits for us. That is the second spin. There's only 1 that was thrown out willingly and then 1 that was overdrawn. We have some reason to run HQ. The Eternal prizes I sent is 1 is still short somehow, and I've been trying to figure out what to do for those. Oh no, woof. If it was me, I would probably rather get nothing than get 2 of. That's such a messed up message, and like I kind of get it. I kind of get it. So I think I'm gonna dig deep and maybe try and see what other prize support I have on hand, because I think I have some of the older stuff like Jailbreak era G&K kit. But yeah, it's just like an awkward situation. I would be grumpy about it too. I'd probably ask for volunteers to get something else so you can send 3 of. Okay, so I'm gonna try and send 3 ofs to everybody of everything. So, whoops. Second hostile. This is the most important thing here is for bad publicity, because now Izzy has 2/2s that they can just score out in remote server, regulatory capture, and we're gonna get a sabotage 1 from HQ, which is really easy to sabotage after a spin doctor goes off because you have extra cards in hand. It literally does nothing. So we have to get some accesses. We have breakers. And we just need to get some accesses here. So I think we're just going to do a Chestushka HQ and say that for bad publicity and all our breakers will get us there. I honestly, in some ways, would actually rather get the access than the Chestushka itself. She's got probably use a border control though. So we'll see how this goes. I'm so glad Endurance is banned and people are starting to figure out how cool Banhar is. It's really cool. So this, we probably just want to take 2 net damage. I don't think we want to break that. We could have considered getting this down to get our second Nuka, because that's the biggest card draw card. I think we probably regret that immediately. Hey, Alice, I say think of other prizes. I agree that 2x Chestushka, maybe something cool get printed. Art projects. I don't think I'll have anything cool in time to send it out, because I'm already late sending it out. So I'm just going to see what other G&Ks I have on tap. Okay, cool. So this thing, we're going to Black Orchestra down. At least that's free. And this, we care about the tag subroutine, and we care about the tag subroutine. We technically care about the net damage. So that breaks nothing. We'll just pay 3 more. So we will do, we won't take those 2. Hey, so we have 2 of the silent chip arts from last year. Someday I'll get my hands on a 3rd one. There's more COs. You got time? Oh, from last year. Oh yeah, that's a bit harder, isn't it? Is he absolutely smacked me around in our few games in Mansion Runner draft? I got his check because Bushi posted a bunch of the photos for Mansion Runner. That looked sick. That looked really, really cool. A bunch of them were posted. That's 1 from HQ, 3 from the top of R&D. So we could win on R&D ideally. Now, the best play here is we top deck into a sabotage card. So we would reinstall a Marrow or a Ghost Tongue, let alone. And I think with 3 from top of R&D, there's very likely there's agendas on HQ. So we always can go back through here. This, mind you, cost us 5, which is most of our bad publicity. And then this is 6. So it's doable. But this is where we want, yeah, I was going to say we're running hot. So let's see where 2 more comes from. Maybe make some coffee mugs to say odd beans and send those one day. So that was 2 from R&D. So there's 5 unknown cards in archives. That seems like a lot for an access. Now we could keep technically hitting running hot, but it doesn't do anything. So we got to do math. We got to see if we can win on this turn. So we can chess Stushka. That'll put us down to 16 credits. We'll have 4 bad publicity, so we'll have 20. We go through this for 5, we're on 15. We go through to this arguably for nothing. Yeah, I think we do it, and we try and win off of what's it called? But this is where like I like the legworks in the deck, because I do think there's obviously agendas in HQ, and accessing 3 agendas here or 3 cards in HQ is absolutely game defining on this board state, because they've like clearly danger. They've clearly thrown out a whole bunch of stuff that are not agendas. I think we just let this fire. Like, we can clear the tag, because it costs us 6 to not take the tag and the net damage. I don't think that's worth our money. Finality would be great here. Yeah, Finality would be really good. I'm expecting there to be a board control on one of these servers, though. But yeah, I like Finality a lot of these decks. I'm surprised we're on 1. So 2 from HQ 200. So again, I think if we legwork, we definitely win the game. So now there's some understanding of how many agendas are in our archives. What can we draw into here to plan the rest of our turn? We have 2 dirty laundries out here. So there's 1 dirty laundry in top 9 we could top deck. But there's no other good way to check. Deuces, there's 1 more. There's a couple ways we could check while getting tempo. Let's draw once. We have a program installed. There's a dirty laundry. Let's go dirty laundry. We have a program installed so we can steal SDSs, which is kind of important. Oh, GG. Cool. Damn, we're good. I think you labor rates to try and dodge Stushkas. Yeah, we could have probably done it 1 more. Like, I think there's a big chance with only 8 cards left. And again, it would be go down to 5 when labor rates draws through 3. We can kind of get there. But that I think was a bit slow. Like 16 cards left in RD, that's mostly our thing there. But I wonder if we needed to greed it out. I think at this point, like, Izzy probably wants to score out a regulatory. We haven't seen a single regulatory, so I think they're mostly in hand. And yeah, double biotic, that was a really good call that this is probably fast advance only. The score agenda plan works better when I could tell the early turns were a bit rough for agendas. Yeah, it didn't look like she had good things to push in the remote server very quickly. But as far as we've seen, we don't see any kill package here. I think it's just fast advance. There are 2 more steel skins in a stack for labor rates to hit. Oh, that's a good point too. There's a chance that this card just becomes much better gas too when you hit the steel skin. Super cool. How many credits did Ghost Tongue make? It's very hard for me to check that, I think. I don't know how to check that because it doesn't say it. But probably a lot. I think like 7, 8 credits, no problem. No problem. Hey, thanks again. Yeah, those are the things that I wish like the end game stats could tell you really easily. I want to know how many cards we sabotaged, and I want to know like how many credits we got from certain, cards. That'd be really good. You have to manually check how many events you played. Yeah, that's hard because event isn't like a thing that shows up. You have to search the event names. This is going to be bad television. Are we doing it? When did Ghost Tongue come down? Okay, trash, dirty laundry. So we played 1 creative commission. Raindrops. Another creative commission, I think. We played like 2 events on that turn, 3 events on that turn. So I think about 9 credits seems about fair. Probably even a bit more. Melbourne COs tomorrow. Everyone's in here taking notes, I'm sure. Yo, sick. Is it standard or startup? I'm like really stoked right now because it is this season where people start posting deck lists. And there's, things coming out, and then the meta shifts from week to week when someone posts like, this is my Thule deck that I won an event in Vancouver. And then, somehow ripples across the world when people are playing negative agenda point and checky cards in like Tokyo. It's so buck wild. I picked two places that are actually relatively close together, considering. Oh, it's standard. Do you know what you're playing? Who's organizing this? Do you know what you're playing? Crow, are you judging? You playing? Hey, it's Alice. We played Alice last week, right? Op, cool. Op can be anything. Op can be scary. Opening hand has a Ghost Tongue and has a bunch of good cards with it. We have the Paperclip, which you're expecting for envelopments and border controls. We have no way to deal with stuff Kahafran besides our face and net damage with a good deck this time. I don't remember the deck was last week. Hey, me too. Best of luck. Have fun. I think I'll be helping TO. Okay, super cool. For those that TO, so Cror, we're working on organizing a national. I'm probably going to be doing some amount of like organizing and probably TOing or casting. I don't think I'm going to be playing. But when it comes to being confident enough to TO, there's no like judge tests when it comes to Netrunner, right? It's just somebody who like has taken the time and the courage to like read the document. Mind you, I think Yusengren is reformatting the document in a way that looked really good. He showed it off yesterday, which I think is sick. Winning with Thule should be illegal. I don't want to play against it anymore in JNet casual. Are you running into it a lot? I feel like I haven't run into Thule or PE in a while. I think the last PE game I played was against like Big Unit, and it was yeah, I had to concede. It was not going well. I'm not sold on the vegan outfit. The hope was the extra influence made room for gaslights and biotics, and the runner scared of HHN would slow and let me out. But JNet doesn't play around HHN. That's really funny that JNet doesn't play around HHN. That might be accurate. I don't know. It's really hard to like sacrifice a win condition because I think the outfit decks, without spending, you know, all the influence on biotic labor, still do score out relatively well because the ice is so powerful, or like is so difficult to face check into that like there's a chance that having the third win condition is like probably a better amount of percentage points across the field compared to not having them. Now there could be a spin doctor on the table, but I wanted to keep 2 dirty laundries. So 2 from the top of R&D. So if one of these is a spin doctor, I'll lose the dirty laundry, and that seems pretty bad. Playing Essa against Thule is so much fun. It's weird how it's a much more interesting matchup than it sounds like on paper. No certifications. Okay, so I just got to figure it out. Please no spin doctor. It's a wall-to-wall. Okay. Oh, we literally can't afford to trash that. That's fine. So this looks like a bridge monopolist. So this is hard-hitting news, really competitive op. We're not very good at dealing with assets. And this deck can very consistently like use a Sphia Tagore, which is the one thing we have to trash on site, and then use the Sphia Tagore to trash a 1-coster to get a spin doctor at instant speed. So that's the most important thing here. So we have to make sure there's no Sphia Tagores on the table. We have to trash that. And we're probably gonna get hard-hitting news this turn. I don't think we are gonna get away with this one. Yeah, we have to trash that on site. We have no money. Because otherwise that becomes spin doctors. I don't know how bad this is. This is a tricky matchup. We did turn the wall-to-wall on, but like if this is Continental's op versus like intercontinental winning op versus this ESO deck, I don't think we're gonna have a chance. Like for the FA plan, I'd rather be in sports. Yeah, that's a big thing too. It's like, is there any reason to play anything besides the best FA deck? Because I don't think the outfit like is a fun FA. See, JNet doesn't play around HHN. We can't. Some of the op lists are only on 2 HHN. I think most of them are on 3. Oh, yeah, there you go. Like, that's fine. Now, this deck is on 2 booms. So there's that. And the problem is, like, we have no money and we can't trash anything on the table. Like, the game is over. We shouldn't have done what we did. This is a very good op deck. I don't think we have good ways to deal with asses in general. We probably should have just ignored the field and then try to set up, but it's like really hard because again, they can produce spin doctors more consistently than any other deck in the format. So we have to clear 3 tags on a single turn for that to be relevant. I don't think we can afford to do that. I didn't mean to draw there. I meant to click for credit. So we'd have to win. And this is a global food initiative deck that's running, I think 8 to 9 agendas. They're running 3 foods. So it's also hard to close the game out on singles. So we have to just have a credit so we can trash booms if we see it. They will have boom credits very likely. Yeah, we're just going to swing. We're just going to swing on servers. That's good. But yeah, we probably die this turn. Oops, I cursed the stream. Hey, Jesse S has been hoping to try some of the new decks. There's some really good ones posted online. We're going to be looking at a bunch of them today. But I think there's some really good reasons to play ESA. Yeah, that's real, though. I had tested my first standard decks on JNet before GNK and never saw HHN. They got boomed twice at the GNK. You have to know your meta, Kato. How's it going? But some metas love, obviously, boom and all that. I think if they... Okay, so they did draw, and at that point, they were on 3 credits. So there's a big chance they have a boom in hand. Now, this could easily be the mouseless, which if they res the mouseless, we actually are like totally okay with that. Yeah. I think we're totally okay with that. Let's draw 2. In theory, money actually opens up more plays for us. We don't know what server 4 is. It could be easily a spin doctor. I think it's likely a spin doctor, so we want to poke this. Let's expose this to see what it is. It is a border control. So we face check into the border control. Oh, this is messed up. Wait, we did this all wrong. We shouldn't have drawn because we need credits to be able to trash a boom when we see a boom. So this is bad. Never mind, we're the best. So here we need to get a credit run HQ because we have to force them to think they need to spend the border control. And if they res the border control, they'll be down on 1 credit. But with 1 credit, we're threatening the boom from hand, and they probably have the boom from hand, unless they're playing around Chestushka. Hey, Nick, stoked to catch you live. Usually only able to watch a VODs. Hope you're having a good stream. I am. How you doing? Glad you can make it live as well. I know that we stream at a very consistent time. That's hard for everyone to get in. Oh, one spin doctor down. That's good. How you doing? I'm watching the world's most unpunished man. We are. You're not wrong. But we're playing around boom pretty consistently for what it's worth. We actually should have thrown the paperclip out 100%. It's not like we're going to afford it, but yeah, I just saw one bin breaker, but we want the bin breaker that breaks the break. A Citadel would help you prevent all that meat damage here. They just trash it though. It doesn't really do anything. Like it slows it down a second, but that's it. Spin Doctor, okay. Now they're very likely to have the boom in hand. We have to figure out how to get the border control, but again, just to start, that's 5 credits, and then we have to access with 1 credit, so it's not going to happen. So all we have to do is run R&D and steal enough points. With 2 credits, what can they res? It's an Afshar. If they're on 3 credits, they're on Sandstone. And again, if they res a Sandstone, they don't have money, so we're fine. Boom isn't real, it can't hurt you if you don't believe in it. The problem is I do. I really do. I fear it. Keeps me up at night. Okay, so we want to run archives. I don't think there's agendas in there, but I think we want to force the shuffle before anything else. Spin Doctor on the table, like I don't think they throw out agendas that they can afford it. It's pretty safe behind border control. There's a chance that we can put down the Banhar and see what they do about it. Like if they spend a turn trashing the Banhar because they're worried that we can get into HQ. Oh wow, there actually was agendas in there. A lot of times you want to keep the agendas in HQ because now we just threatened a Spin Doctor with very minimum effort. So next turn they'll be on 4 credits for sure. So we just have to win off of R&D because there's no way for us to get through this. Spot on sneak door. Okay, that's good. Now they're on 0 credits. Again, I think you can let these accesses if you have a border control in hand. So that's a Sandstone. So here we can no longer get accesses. All we need to do is get credits. So I do think we put down the Banhar. And I think we probably want to draw once just so we don't die to end of the line if they are playing it. I don't think lists are playing end of the line since what's it called rotated or got banned. Sorry. What's his face? Our friend Banhar. And I think this is much more reasonable. If they spend a whole turn trashing this, we basically buy ourselves a whole turn because they're not keeping credits to boom us. And this deck, mind you, this deck doesn't even play hedge fund. Not that they need hedge fund because if they have 4 and 2 clicks, they boom us. But it doesn't even play hedge fund. So the money is going to be like low to the ground. It's mostly Spheda Gore is the best economic play here. Or like launch campaign also is credit positive, but it cost them some part of this. So Spheda Gore means that they can boom us this turn for sure. But we kept our Banhar. So we have to put that at HQ. So we just do a credit. We run. We trash a boom. They reoccur Spin Doctor. We lose to that. But they have a lot of agendas in HQ here. So this is 2 net damage. Okay. Give me a boom. Come on. Wall to wall. Shit. That's not good. Okay, so we're probably dead here. There's no real point checking the table because there's nothing we can trash. We have 1 credit. We also didn't lose our paperclip to net damage, which would have been the best case. So draw, and just hope they don't have it for some reason, but we're dead here. Stream is perfectly timed for unemployed, non-standard work hour Aussies. Rashida, that's really bad. Now they definitely have it. Yeah, they've gone through a lot of their deck. They've shuffled back. This we have to kind of deal with, but not really, as long as we keep 4 cards in hand. Fun employed. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how you meant to play this matchup because we just don't have the economy to trash remote servers. And so if we run turn 1, it's game. But yeah, that seems like a mismatch. Thanks for the game. Hey, I'm employed. I'm just working from home responsibly. Look, I got 2 monitors for a reason. You think I'm not going to use them? I want hospitality hours? I don't know what that means. Oh no. Oh, please don't do that. Weird weekend. Okay, cool. 2 monitors are rookie numbers. We're on 3 right now, but it took us a while to get to 3. Get you around. Okay. Let's do some news and look at some other ESA decks. I think there's a whole bunch of other ESA decks we can talk about. Sort of. We've been saying this like so much over the last couple of weeks. Hard-hitting news is like an important card. It needs to exist. I don't like that hard-hitting news is a threat turn 1. I think this needs to scale with the game. It should not threaten you turn 1 because there are things that are on the table that you don't trash on turn 1. You can lose the game, and that doesn't line up well to me. I found the S's weakness is the wide board decks. David, how's it going? Yeah, that might be correct. That might be correct. Like Light the Fire doesn't get you there. So going horizontal, for admittedly, like if they can ignore the board state, and just build up money, like then they can probably trash your stuff, but they don't have like, I don't know. It's like compare something to like liberated counts, which if you can take a turn off, you can get that down in a lot of money. Asa has to do a lot more work to get like the card velocity to get to the things to like, you know, get the money to be able to contest the table. And so that can be harder. But I'm wondering if I'm playing like just op against Essa, I think the only chance that you lose is, I feel like it's a really good matchup for op because as op can, again, it's the one deck that is running Svidagore and a lot of one costers that it does go out of its way to pull Spin Doctor at instant speed when it needs to, which is really, really great. The Cable Carnage Essa deck is a lot of fun. Great write up too. Yeah, we're going to be getting to that in just a second. That's going to be the deck I want to look at next because I think that's a really nice deck. And in fact, Cable Carnage played the exact Corp deck that I played at my CO, which I wasn't able to share, but this is like the Snare Bears type Esmari list, which I played a similar version. My ISO slightly different, but I think there's a bunch to talk about there. Is there room for Essa for Marathon? Marathon's like 5 influence, isn't it? What if HHN gave you tag equal to your agenda points stolen? I think it has to do something like that. I think HHN has to scale off of agenda points in your score area, their score area, or not be playable until someone has 3 points, like kind of like complete image. I think there has to be something like that. And I think that would make it a more interesting card. Yeah. How can you fix so it's not an issue early game? Oh, yeah, excuse me, just like that. I read in the other order, but I think Kokoro's response is generally what I've been suggesting. I was a believer in 2 monitors, but then I got my twin curved and there's some stuff that's better on flat screen. So now I have 2 curved and 2 flat. Damn. My partner has one of those huge curved ones. And so it's, I don't know. It's divided generally into 2 monitors and she doesn't do a lot of gaming on it. I don't think her computer could handle gaming on that monitor of that resolution relatively well. But yeah, it's a look. It's a look. I don't know if I get used to it, but for someone who does video editing, having a long timeline is something that I actually like really, really want to look at. Ah, the famously playable card Complete Image. Yeah, Complete Image like has text on it that is quite fascinating. Like this clause. Play only if the runner has 3 more agenda points and they made a successful run during the last turn. At least the top part here is a really interesting way to make cards have a shelf life. They basically say you can't be blown out on turn 1. Does Complete Image need this text? Honestly, I have no idea. Probably not. Maybe it just stops it so the runner doesn't go down one hand and then hand size and you just kill the runner on the spot. I think that's why, so that someone can set up and not just get cheesed going down to one hand. But then maybe the sentence matters more. So who knows? Yeah, maybe it's just so they don't run snare turn 1 and die. Maybe that's the most important thing. Because what it's worth, there's no card like this that just does net damage. Like back in the day, we used to have Neural EMP. Right? Like there used to be a card that just did net damage, and currently the game doesn't want that. Yeah. Make it require successful run would go to long way, probably. For hard-hitting news, it almost matters in no way. Like hard-hitting news is really strange. It's different than economic warfare. This is only if the runner made a run during the last turn. It doesn't care if the run's successful. And the actual board states where the change on the text between requiring a run and successful run will actually matter is very, very, very few. Because mostly that's an acid dex where like you're making a successful run anyways. And generally if they made an unsuccessful run, that means that the corp is probably protecting something in the remote server, which is largely what they're going to be doing next turn anyways, scoring out an agenda or fire Gurashita and then hard-hitting using you, admittedly. But I don't think that text is relevant. In fact, most people don't even know this doesn't say successful run, and they just play like I don't know. I don't think I would realize that it doesn't say successful run most of the times. Complete Image Obo, what a combo. It's the writing's all there. All the pieces are there. The pair of verticals is such a luxury for reading, especially book-like stuff. I run 2 horizontals and 2 verticals. Damn. Runners complaining about having to not run first click without having early econ to pay for the trace. Like just remove tags manually. Yeah, we actually, for what it's worth in that matchup, because Alice could not draw into their boom very quickly, we probably could have just cleared the tags manually. All we had to do is make sure that the ice was being rezzed, but we probably could have just cleared the tags manually. Let's be honest, because it took us like 2 or 3 turns for that to actually matter. But there was not a lot of jamming on the table, which I feel like that probably should have happened more to get you to the thing. But yeah, we probably could have just cleared the tags. The problem is like, it's still at that point, it's a hard matchup, but clearing tags is like way more reasonable than a lot of times it looks like. Okay, real quick. US East Coast Nationals. This was just put up by Dan. So if you want to know the US East Coast Nationals, buy your tickets here. It's at Red Cap Games, which is, or Red Cap Corner, excuse me, which is in, I want to say Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's in America. And that's going to be on July 29th. Mind you, the new set, it looks like it's coming out mid-July, hoping that you'll have physical cards by then. But again, of course, you can play proxies, you can print that out. But that's awesome. It's 30 days. It looks like it's going to be a 2-day event, July 29th and July 30th. And that's amazing. Redcap Corner is a name that actually I'm aware of, never been to Philadelphia, because they showed up a lot doing like live streams and some of the biggest Netrunner tournaments in America. So that's probably a really good place to be. And that's phenomenal. I was mentioned at the beginning of the Neon Static podcast. I only got 15 minutes in, but it looks like it's going to be streamed. There's going to be people on comms. So I'm really excited for this. I'm going to try and make it down. I'll let you know if I can lock that down with some certainty, but I'm going to try and make that there if I can. Now, why I want to point this out is that this is attached to a really lovely website. You can find this on Near Earth Hub, and it has a page here where you can buy your tickets, but then also there's this whole mentorship program, because mind you, this is going to be in standard, and standard is going to be a huge question mark come July 29th, when not only is there a new set, but standard will experience a rotation. But I know a lot of players are intimidated coming from startup to getting into standard. So there's this program here about getting a mentor, becoming a mentor, and then having someone that can help you walk through the transition between startup into standard. And that's phenomenal. If you're somebody who wants to play in tournament events at this tournament specifically, and you're worried about getting to standard, highly recommend hitting this button. You'll get paired with a mentor, and someone will sit down and talk to you about the differences between startup and standard. And let me promise you, it's much more minimal than you think it is. The majority of meta decks being played now, the majority of the cards in those decks are cards that were printed by Null Signal Games. There are still obviously some cards that are from the old FFG set to see play, but again, I've said this before, even today, almost all the Null Signal card games or Null Signal cards that are printed see competitive play, while FFG is about half to less than half. So it's actually just always going to be more favored to Null Signal Games. Check this out. Brilliant idea. Whoever's organizing the legend. This is Dan B, mind you. Near Earth Hub is a great website. I think I might hit this button and see what happens. I do lessons. That's something that we have on this channel, but I want to maybe do a bit of pro bono works to feel better and give back to a community in a way that doesn't require money. Maybe that's a good thing to do, but this is awesome. And it's really important. And I think you're seeing it more and more. And I think it's eventuality going to be a thing when startup players who've been playing startup for now a year or 2 years realize like they're closer to standard in terms of having the card pool and wanting to still play with some cards instead of the aggressive rotation of startup. That it's really important that more players take that sort of scary jump into standard, because standard is a really good format. There are some pain points, but there are pain points about every format. I think actually in a lot of ways, standard's probably a healthier format competitively than startup right now, albeit a smaller card pool, of course. I think that's all I want to shout out. Let's go look at some other decks. Hey, Try, what do you think about a virus in standard at the moment? What do you mean about virus specifically? Because it's hard to find a virus dedicated deck. The closest you would have is Freedom, and Freedom has classically been doing pretty well. Freedom has won Worlds before. We saw a really good Freedom list that all of the Snare Bears, or most of the Snare Bears, were playing at Worlds last year that revolved around Endurance. And seeing what this deck looks like without Endurance is going to be very interesting, but probably still doable. So I think the virus decks, as much as they don't have that many viruses in them, are pretty alive and well. But when it comes to a virus sabotage deck, don't have a lot of hope in it, as in terms of like, this is my, what's her name? Augustina deck. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't think Mavirus sees that much play across the table. So the only thing that people are really playing around is Amakua. So if you're going to see Maviruses, it's largely because of Amakua or because you're a fast advanced deck. But I don't even think Shapers exist and you have to worry about Clot. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag. There are definitely some good viruses, but then it's also hard to run a lot of viruses in the same deck. Like if you're playing Amakua, should you also be playing Tapworm so the corporation purges out not only your economy, but your breaker suite at the same time? Probably not. So that's kind of one of the things with viruses is the purge viruses. You have to kind of leverage them. And we don't have anything like Virus Max like we did back in the day. That's really cool. That was a cool deck. What was that Faust card in the tab? Were you cooking? Oh no, we're just talking about how like Banhar is like basically what Faust used to be. In some ways. And like Faust is one of the best cards in any format back in the day, specifically with the support cards. And I think we're largely there. Awkwardly too familiar with a standard to get a mentor and too bad a standard to be a mentor. Yo, Sophie, first off, I think that even if you think you're too familiar with standard to get a mentor, you could just get a mentor. And if you think you are not worthy to mentor, you're probably worthy to get a mentor. Or to be a mentor, excuse me. I wouldn't worry about it. But even if you don't want to do like this strict mentorship program, again, I don't know what the structure of it is. Even if you obviously like poke around GLC and like get into conversations with people, itinerant protesters, if that's like, I'm not too familiar exactly what they're up to recently. It's been a while since I poked into there, but there's so many other ways to get into standard, which is great. I feel like you would really work really well with a mentor. Oh, D, that's probably a nice comment. It always sounds like slightly backhanded. I'm kidding. But no, for real. I think there's almost nobody, straight nobody, will get nothing. How many negatives down are we by like not just sitting down with somebody and like talking and discussing how they think about the game? So I wouldn't worry about it. You can do it. It'd be sick. Faust with Steelskin would be wild. Yeah, it'd be a fair bit better. For what it's worth, Faust and Steelskin, I think were legal at the same time for a minute and saw no play. Thanks, D, Sophie says. Very good. Okay, so there's a bunch of results coming up. So if we go to always be running, there's a lot of COs and GNKs and stuff like that showing up for the last little while. And mind you, the meta right now is really interesting because we're going into the competitive meta of nationals and all this stuff coming up. And they'll probably be post-rotation for most countries. But we're getting a lot of results that are really interesting. It's not intended as back-ended. I know, I was just joking. Like, we all could learn a lot. If I can get Laura to mentor me, I'll take it. Super cool. So we have some cool results here. This was shouted out early. You're seeing a lot of ESSA here. Like, you actually do see a lot of ESSA across this. So ESSA took the Reading Circuit opener. Let's pull that list up. Then we have Rain City. That is Solomir playing ESSA in Vancouver. We have an ESSA list here. This is the Sterling Circuit opener. That's the deck list that we just played, if I'm not mistaken. And where is the other one? Oh, Reading is the one that is Extra C, I think, played the same list Cable Carnage played. It's doing well. That was a really good weekend for ESSA. So Rain City, I don't think there's a deck list posted here. I think Solomir is working on it. I think this is Cable Carnage's list. So these are two lists, mind you. Another ESSA deck came in second there. This is a really cool Jemison deck. Again, playing the June Bug type thing. And I think there was another one, but I think Extra C won an event with this, if I'm not mistaken. So similar kind of idea. But this is like a similar type ESSA deck that's running the same sort of structure where we're playing most of our events for our economy. We have one copy of Light the Fire as a resource just because it's a fun card. It does a lot to like just technically abstractly threaten spin doctors, but also inherently, if we're not using Banhar, and this list, mind you, isn't using Banhar, which is pretty wild, is that this card is actually good alongside Banhar because Banhar doesn't require you to click to use it. And then you're weak to things that are like defensive upgrades because if they end the run, you can't really come back with Banhar. So this is a way to deal with it. We're running 2 of each breaker, but instead of Banhar here, we have 3 Botulists, which is just also a good enough piece of ice. And it's really interesting to figure out the more you play a deck to figure out how to use Botulists is very interesting. Do you use Botulists to put them on the scoring remote and then just camp the scoring remote while you hit centrals? I think that's pretty fair. Do you just put the Botulists on HQ so that you can Chistushka? Mind you, this is another list that's only running a single finality, but mind you, it is running a legwork. And we talked about how the legwork can be very, very potent if they're discarding their worst cards from HQ from sabotage. And otherwise, it's everything you kind of really expect. We're running 1 copy of Moshing. It works. It gets your breakers, get your steel skins to fire. That's pretty good. We're on 2 running hots, and then we have Diesel instead of Nuka. I'm not too sure about that, how to feel. Diesel is a much faster card, and I don't know if this is meant to be a faster deck comparatively, but I like Nuka. It's a bit slower, it's a bit more expensive, but it's a card that we can set up and leave there and then use when we want. And then 2 Bravado, which is almost never bad. Because again, we want to play as many events as we can in all these slots. I wouldn't be surprised if the I've had worse damage restriction was because of Faust. I don't know. I've had worse. It was not because like Faust doesn't do damage, right? Faust just forces you to trash cards. I've had worse only triggers off of only meat and net. Yeah, it also doesn't fire off of brain damage or at the time core damage modernly, right? So this was just a different card, but this came out like a set before Faust, a cycle before Faust. Yeah. No Mad Dash. I think this one doesn't have a Mad Dash. The other one doesn't have a Mad Dash. I think it's kind of hard to play Mad Dash and ESSA. Like you could just get lucky, but you're generally not accessing known cards. Is that worth still playing? Maybe. But there's also just a chance you get enough sabotage in there that the Mad Dash gets canceled out to some extent. But that's what I think one of the big things about Mad Dash is one of those quintessential cards that stays in your hand until the exact moment that it is relevant. And it's really hard to do that in ESSA because when you have cards in hand with ESSA, you're going to lose them to core damage. Which one's random? If you're playing Banhar, it's even worse because you're just going to lose cards. So it's really hard to hold cards like that, right? You could do it. I think it's difficult. Feels silly to apply when I've been playing for 2 years, but it'd be really cool. Try it out, Sophie. I think if it like doesn't work out or you think it's like not necessary or you're not getting what you want from it, you can just like respectfully say, thank you. And then the mentor is free or something like that. That's why you play a Let It Rip style of Mad Dash. Yeah, I wonder how like easy that is to do, but it's maybe not the worst. It's just kind of hard to like, again, these are lists that are not running Time Bomb anymore. So our basically most of our pressure is just Chistushka. We've just become a Chistushka type deck. We just want to get the Chistushkas off as fast as possible. How to play aggression. You should constantly put pressure on the corp. Face check ice without fear. Love it. Most cards in the deck can be played as soon as they're drawn. Mulligan for econ and hardware. Playing labor rights early to find key cards and put bar breakers in the heap is good. That's a really cool part that I'm learning more and more to do. Value running hot is good. Keep your options for winning open. Remove remote with Botulus and LTF. HQ with Chastushka and legwork. R&D with finality. Okay, so we're going to try and Botulus camp the remote server. And that makes sense. I think that's cool because we have only limited ways to deal with the remote server. I have cherished this season of our mentorship. Oh, that's really cute. D, have you been mentoring Sophie? Cool. Yeah, also this Asmari list is very similar to the list that I was running before. I had much more mixed feelings. I think I like this version a bit better. We can talk about this one after, but these sort of lists that are like Artificial Crypto Crash, 3 Seamless, and Economic Warfare are really, really mean decks. And I think it's runners that can sit back and generate economy without giving Asmari money, I think can deal with it relatively well, as much as you don't see. It's just like, do you play against Anarchs with Liberated and Fermenter, and can they set up quick enough? I think that can be a struggle, but I need to play more of the deck. I think that deck is probably very quite good. I said runner deck. That was a little Joel reference. Okay. I don't know what this says in Cyrillic. I don't know what it says. I'm going to copy it and hope for the best. I can't read Cyrillic. We'll try a bit of a different version. What up, Mr. Grid? Been a while since I caught one of these lives. Gyro, how's it going? We're playing some ESA today. We might play some Asmari after it, but like ESA decks are converting, which is, I think, really fun for a lot of players that want Anarchs to do something slightly different than what they've normally done. I think it's also very interesting when you look at like somebody doing good, like an ESA deck doing good, is also like, what does the field look like on their side? Right? Like, are they dealing with asset spam, or are they dealing with like fast events decks? Are they dealing with, that's obviously worth keeping in perspective. So maybe we can look at that after. But I think that was a relatively big CO as far as COs go. I didn't have coffee today, so I have decaf right now, and it's really cold. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mention this. So I wanted to say today with some sort of certainty that we could come on stream and say the date that the Nationals was going to be here in Montreal later this summer. And I went down to the store, which is organizing it, and I organized a meeting with one of the owners there, who's very kind and very supportive of the process. And then I got there, and it turns out the store was closed. They had an outbreak of COVID. They realized, and so they just shut the whole store down. So the store is gonna be closed for about a week or so. In the panic, they didn't tell me, which, like, I get that. So yeah, I don't have a date today. I couldn't actually meet with anybody. I went all the way down there and made the best of it and came back. So we're gonna come down. We'll be able to know hopefully next week, if not the week after. I really want to get a date down ironed in as soon as possible. So for any people that want to buy tickets already, make plans, stuff like that, you can plan around it, which I think is super, super valuable. Anyone know how ESA plays into Jadeki decks like AG or PE? Ag is interesting. It depends what Ag is. I do think that actually this deck did play against Ag. I think Ag shows up in one of the write-ups, but I do think that was a scoring out Ag. I think it's actually called out. Swifty's scoring Ag Infusion. IQ Resident HQ does not stop Chastushka. Win from running archives with face down cards. I reckon that if you do play Ag Infusion and you have a lot of ability to play around a lot of the run events like Chastushka, all that stuff, you can just disrupt it by like sending them to archive, stuff like that. So I think that's pretty good for you. I think you don't take so much core damage that it's impossible to steal an Obokata, but you do have Light the Fire for that as well, as much as it is hard to light the fire Ag Infusion in general. Against Personal Evolution, I reckon it's actually kind of a nightmare. It's hard to check archives. It's really hard to check archives because if you run archives and there's like 3 agendas in there, you have to steal all of them. As long as they don't have additional costs like Obokata. So that can be like, up to like 5-6 net damage in a single turn. So that's pretty hard. I reckon you have to keep the steel skins in hand relatively well. I don't think it's going to be a good matchup. It should be mentioned that Cable Carnage is consistently very good. Where are they from? I'm not sure, but they are very good. I'm pretty sure they're part of the Snare Bears testing group, but they're a very competitive Netrunner player. Hey, Chris MB, how's it going? It's been interesting because a lot of people were saying Anarchs were going to fall off really hard without Boat, but I guess the Boat ban mattered more for the faction that didn't need to pay 5 influence for it. The new Anarch decks have been really interesting. So for what it's worth, like regular Anarch, what existed before Endurance still exists right now. What has been challenged a bit more is the economy of those sort of decks, because those decks back in the day were running like Pad Tap and Rizeki and a lot of the other stuff that was, since then banned, even before Endurance. I do think Anarch decks right now have some of the more consistent economy. Like Liberated Counts is still seeing consistent play. It can be a bit too slow, but Fermentor's really taking in the slack there. And then you're seeing other lists like Ma, Amakua decks, I think are actually quite powerful. They deal with the Jinteki meta relatively well and Acid Spam meta relatively well. So I don't know if too much has changed on that. It's like Anarch was very good before Endurance, and now they just have 10 more influence to work with. So there's a lot of much more flexibility. I honestly don't think Anarch has really changed that much since it. Access Archives, Sting, Kusanagi. Yeah, no, it can be really, really bad, accessing Archives. On top of that, Sabotage also can inherently be like a good thing for some Jinteki decks. If they're running Regenesis or even like, what's it called, Hybrid Release, they can use Sabotage. If you Sabotage last click, which like, you shouldn't do that, they can use that to their advantage to put cards back on the table, let alone score out Obakatas. Oh, here's the Ag Infusion. So you ask about it in chat, and once it's confirmed to be a bad matchup, you queue into it. Hey. Thanks, you too. So we'll see. Again, this could be low-key Ag Infusion grinder. This could be scoring out for sure, but inherently it's quite difficult. We're going to still face check into everything, but the fact that we don't have Hippo means that we can't deal with some of the biggest ice in the format. So once there is a, you know, a DNA tracker, there's an Anansi, our only way to deal with it is break it for 9 credits. That's really difficult. We have economy, we have a bit of card draw, but we have none of our hardware. We're going to try and mulligan for economy and hardware. It's nice to have the Black Orchestra early, but I don't know how bad this matchup's going to be. This hand is like probably fine. This is the best idea to run Light the Fire, which makes a big difference in Warrior meta. Jai, totally, but it's still really hard. Because like telling Acid that you have Light the Fire, but then you still need to run through what could potentially be an Anansi or a DNA tracker, let alone like a border control into like any HP type list, is still really difficult. That I would honestly think, while it beats Warrior tracker, that I'd probably still want to play like the Pinhole Threading, excuse me. I think Essa is popular due to PE Obakata style and not wanting to play Crim into it. I'd run that auto dialer otherwise. I want to play more of the auto dialer deck. Mind you, we didn't mention we posted a deck list, a deck dive for standard, and it's a really fun deck. And I think it's actually really well positioned into specifically like my meta, where there's a lot of people playing what's it called? NBN and Wayland specifically. But against Jinteki, it can be hard because you don't want to bypass an Anansi. All right, we lost a Chistushka. We could have just hit a Chistushka there. That would actually probably be correct. But let's see where this comes from here, because they can't really sabotage from HQ. So they do 2 from the top of R&D. We can check what they are. I think that's fine. We don't want to moshing this hand because I do think we just botchless on this. Just Banhar through the Nancy? That's possible. Okay, so we can check what the deck is. There's 2 cards in HQ. They fire Snare. One of these cards was Hansade. So there's 3 cards in there. I'll just check it, I guess. This is Loki Ag Infusion. Oh, this is miserable. This is going to be miserable. Why are we playing against like tier 1 decks? Oh, shit. This is not good. This is really quite bad. We don't have Pinhole. We don't have any way to deal with Loki besides Botchless, and even then we don't. This is going to be a grinder of a game. We have that for next turn. I don't think we're in a rush to put the Botchless on this. We also have to be like wary of how many cards we have. I don't know if we want to moshing this hand, so I think we just click for credit, but this is absolutely going to be a grind. Buckle up. Oh boy. Yeah, so Lindsay, you don't see that often. And then double subliminal makes you think it's meant to be lockout. Yeah. Does Jinteki have archives, traps, and standard? You used to run archives a lot in startup because they don't doing Regenesis stuff. No, there's no traps that fire from archives, barring like negative agenda point cards. Which there are negative agenda point cards, but there's nothing like Shock or Breach Dome that used to be in the meta. That's a bit different. So we have found all 3 Botchlists. They did 2 from the top of R&D again, so we just need to get a lucky rip here. Now the deck, if I'm not mistaken, is running 1 Longevity Serum and then 6 3-pointers, including Obakatas, and then either food or more likely the one that lets them go make a sandwich. So we're going to check that out. We're still waiting on a final LTF Warride ruling? I don't think we are, Alex. Is there a conversation about that? This is the one I'm talking about. So at least we have 1 agenda. We're going to have to steal 3 agendas. A Trieste is out. But here we can go make dinner, because they have to look at the top 7 cards and then rearrange them, trash them, draw them. This takes a lot of effort to get this done, and it really grinds the game to the halt, unfortunately. Screw it, I'm running auto dialer. It looks hella fun. Not sure what to do about Nancy. Bring a revolver. I think what you want to do is you want to play mutual favor, and then just mutual favor for your Begalter. That's all you want to do. Just have a mutual favor so you can get your Begalter consistently, and I think you have to make very few changes to the deck. I think you probably end up dropping like 1 credit kiting, which is a bit of a tricky card to play, and then just play mutual favor. And that also helps because it's a shuffle effect. 7 cards. They threw out 7 cards. We get to access them still. I'm not sure if they're aware of that. Oh, it's broken. They threw in all the hedge funds, simulation, and what's going on? I don't know what happened. That was weird. I'm meant to see all of those. What is this auto dialer technology? It's a deck list I did a deck dive on Monday. Did you want to trash those? The good old days of shocks and neural EMPs. I don't know. Some people love neural EMP so much. I don't know. It's just like a poisonous card. Whenever it was good, it was like unhealthy. Okay, cool. Let's just redo it. I don't think they wanted to throw out 7 cards. It's just like really easy to mess this up because it asks you for the ordering and asks you, what do you want to trash? What do you want to put back? In what order? And so like, yeah, I've done that. Warroid isn't active when trashed, so it doesn't fire. Subliminals rust for Essa? Yeah, it can be. We want to face check, but like 1 credit a turn. You're right, though. It adds it back to hand, so they don't even play it and they sabotage it. Yeah, that's the worst part. You're 100% right. Nexus 419. Yeah, Nexus 419 seems fine. It seems okay right now. You have to like be pretty aggressive because there are some decks that are fast. You do run Stargate and you have diversion and like, you know, 419 stuff. So I don't think you're the worst into sports metal. Let's just draw once, get a breaker in the bin. Never mind. We tried. Hand size too big. It was toxic. Yeah, it was toxic. It was really toxic. Neural EMP. It's weird. I've seen a lot of people like really fond of that card and it's just like super toxic. Celebrity gift. 7 cards in hand. So they're not, she's not going to show us everything. She showed us divert power. Okay. Hansei, hedge fund, simulation, double simulation reset. So this is the version, mind you, that doesn't have spin doctor. This is the one that I think Sebastian K was playing at the AMT 2 months ago, if not a month ago. And so it has just simulation reset for its recursion pieces. And that is a bummer for us. I think we probably have to get back to Chistushkin to have a chance here because they can't really on instant speed deal with it. Feed to Sabo, yeah, 100%. They feed these to Sabo if they, especially if they could draw 2 back. They can play 1. They can even hold 2, but they have enough cards in hand. The deck doesn't do anything fast. I'm dreading this matchup. This is not a fun matchup. So if you run HQ, there's maybe 1 card we care about, but it's not a very good run. So I think we can set up. I don't really want to Laborites here. Whatever. So we'll put back in a Laborites, a Chastushka, and I think a Botulus. I think we just need more ways to deal with ice. Draw 2. Gain 3. Okay, we can just send that next turn. We'll draw 1. I think we actually have to run archives. I just don't want to give them subliminals. Admittedly, with 5 cards in hand, it's probably not the worst thing here, but otherwise we're clicking for credit. So they threw out a simulation reset. In some ways, surprising. In some ways, not. And honestly, there's a chance that we want to just keep the marrow because it's the easiest way for us to generate multi-axis without having to actually run. Neural toxic. I mean, suppose that's a fair take on it. A lot of neural decks were fairly mean for sure. Kakugui, there's a toxic card. Yeah. Yeah. All right. First simulation reset. I think she showed us 2. Yeah. So this is 2 cards trash from HQ. And so then you can shuffle 2 cards back into and then draw 2. So you're down a card, but you get hand filtering. So now there's 3 unknown cards in hand at a minimum because of mandatory draw. Now the other agendas in the deck is Obokata. So if ever we want to access with enough cards in hand. So if we are 4 specifically, and at that point we still need a 3rd agenda, which is basically like, do you find a longevity serum or not? This is the matchup where I reckon you'd want to have more finalities as much as it's really hard for Ag Infusion to deal with it. All right, they only have 3 cards in hand, and we have an idea what this can be. We know that there's a divert power in hand. We know that there's a hedge fund in hand. I'm still going to take our access here. I think server 1's likely to be a Rashida, and I think the deck is running 1 or 2 Regoliths. But it's sometimes hard to res a raindrops. Mind you, it could be like a Lindsay, and then maybe you're fine either way, because we end up like cycling through like 300 cards. Anemone, okay, very good. Very, very good. We have 11 credits. The only thing we break are code gates. I think we can consider running server 1. I don't think they have infinite economy. We have to remember their ability is like, as soon as we run though, their ability is online. So there's actually some downsides to running because then, you know, their ability fires consistently. We made our successful run. I think we just steal skin to draw 3. It's like really nice to keep this in hand. I think we can actually botchless server 1 as well, but they are going to have to build up 2 remote servers. It's just very hard. We're never going to be able to Chestushka them unless we hold 2 Chestushkas in hand. So, okay, let's try and hold 2 Chestushkas in hand. We're expecting all their ice to have at least 3 subroutines. Or like 3 subroutines is the worst case that we have to worry about. Like, we might actually want to cycle Ghost. Ah, shit. All right, at least we got the botch list there. I wonder how bad of a play botch listing face down ice is into Ag Infusion. But admittedly, if they don't res their ice, their Ag Infusion ability is just a click tax. It's not actually a face check. Because mind you, this allows you, once a turn, to trash an unresed ice being approached to force us to approach a server. Or encounter a server, specifically, sorry, encounter another server. And that's really important because when you're encountering, you can't jack out. So if we ever encounter a resed ice, we're going to have to deal with it. Ag deck is just miserable. Yeah, no, it's miserable. I would not want to do this. Yeah, this is like the sort of the mismatch where, like, unfortunately, and you know, admittedly, we were playing 419 security nexus last week, is that the fact that JNet doesn't have a very big differentiation between, you know, casual and competitive. And I do think there's a big chance that if you see my name, maybe you expect we're playing something more competitive. That's usually the case. But yeah, this is meant to be a good deck. Maybe we can take it on. Discard one? No, we're good in hand size. Oh, yeah, you're right. She could have rezzed it on our turn to give us to 5 hand size to force a discard. Yeah, she missed that window there. You're totally true. Hey, Wink, how's it going? It's going okay. We're playing against some really good corp decks, and I think here we just smash into this. Do we want to bravado smash into that? We need access with the 4 credits. I think we can afford to. Whatever. Jinteki's always miserable. Standard has ag. Startup still has P. Oh, you have P, mind you. Oh, this... Oh no, it's Loki. Okay, so it's really funny. We don't want to shuffle their whole grip. That means you just die to like anemone. Okay, we're going. It's not an enemy on the inner ice. It could be, but like even if it's in what's it called? We died to so many things. We died to DNA tracker. We died to anemone. We died to Anansi. Like, we just can't afford to go through with no hand. Mind you, PE is big in standard too. It's not just startup. And it's much better in standard than startup. Like, in standard, you actually have to run ice. Or, sorry, you have to run agendas. In startup, you run real agendas. In standard, you run Obakata. And it's very, very hard to close the game as a runner. So you're generally not incentivized to close the game. You're incentivized to grind them down, which is... something that happens a lot of times with like when you're playing decks that have a lot of, you know, Obakatas or big 3-pointers, is you have to play their game for a long time. Yeah, startup PE I think is much more reasonable. So another Keeling's going to show up sooner than later. We have dealt with the remote server. Like we did what was on the tin. That's good. We made a successful run. Again, I don't know how to feel about Diesel versus Nuka. I do like Nuka. She's unique, but she's nice to get down. And we're not, maybe we're not a, you know, a Benhar deck. So maybe we can hold that. Manageable equals bad? I don't know. I think it started like there's actually bluffing in it. Like it feels more like, you know, this sort of P that, you know, I learned to play Netrunner with. It's more about like, are these traps more than it's just like raw, you don't have enough credits to trash this asset behind a Tithe and deal with a Warroid on turn 1. Where it becomes more of like a deck building. Well, not exactly, but like I feel like there's a lot of decks that just don't have enough money to deal with the problems presented as quickly as they are. All right, at least this remote server is like totally doable. We can consider face checking into HQ this turn. There's been a fair bit of drawing. We know only the anemone in there. Merely though, as soon as they res a piece of ice, we're in a bad spot. But if they res this piece of ice on HQ, like we're probably hit the steel skin. And at that point, we probably can, they definitely have something in hand. They probably can, do we diesel first? No, we don't have Hippo. That's the biggest thing. Is Hippo's like one of the best things Anarchs can do against Ag Infusion. That actually feels like a winnable matchup. But we have no Hippo. And like Hippo eats this deck because this deck inherently wants to get their strongest ice res on their outermost, and Hippo is a piece of hardware that trashes the outermost ice. Yeah, not great. If you're moshing a Steelskin, do you also get draw from Steelskin? You totally do. I just don't know if we want to draw that hard. Like, I'd rather have this fire when they res like an Ike or some Nancy on HQ. That I want to try not to play this as much as moshing isn't exactly playing it. I think I'm not going to play the Diesel. We're going to hit HQ here. The problem is if this is an Anansi, we're not going to have enough cards to steal Nobukata. It's a Thimble Rig. Okay. That's ugly too. We have no way of dealing with this besides 3 credits. I think we can afford to pay 6 here, as ridiculous as that is. But this is a really good card. Accessing TFP against RP always felt like the worst. It was a fun game. Oh no, it's a Trieste. We have 1 fewer. So that we have no pinhole. We have a Light the Fire though. But we are 1 credit short there. I wasn't playing around accessing the Trieste because that's the second Trieste. Mind you, the deck only has 2 and we've seen 1 of them. So accessing with 1 credits is the minimum that we wanted there. And this is where it feels bad. Like, I don't know. Do we Diesel? I guess we do. We can play most of our economy cards from this point on. Oh, that's ugly. We could do credit legwork where it clicks short. So we're going to actually just discard cards here. I hate it. I hate it. Then we might as well moshing, right? Yeah, we might as well moshing. I honestly think keeping these in hand might be correct, just because I think taking more core damage is a nice way to get accesses when it's hard to get accesses. Yeah, this is better. I'd rather discard, well, nothing here, but we could discard the paperclip. We probably should. Okay, cool. We made a run too, so they don't get subliminal. All right, start a turn draw. 6 cards. We know Anemone could be here. And then we know in hand is the Trieste. Again, very importantly, this deck does not run Spin Doctor. So I do think probably actually just keeping Ghost Tongues and playing them generates the most accesses that we can with the least amount of effort. Because as long as we can run archives, we can get them. Seeing Thimble Rig as an Anarch is always the most feeling. Yeah, no, this is, again, you could botchless this if you want to. It's not that bad. Or a lot of decks are running Amakua or, you know, little cheap ways to deal with this. But like, very funny enough, you put Thimble Rig on the outermost of the server and it costs us 9 credits. Because I break it, they move it. I break it, she moves it. That is probably the Trieste. There's not much else I can put on a remote server that's like really scary for us because everything else takes a fair bit of time to get rolling. Now with 12 credits, probably on R&D, we're going to see, like, we haven't seen any of the scary ice, so there definitely is some scary ice here on R&D. And as soon as we rose the outermost, it totally changes the whole game. I think we could just bravado R&D. Whatever. Let's see some money get spent. Show me the money. We have a steel skin, so if we hit like anything that doesn't have damage, there's a chance it'll be fine. Legwork is easy to play on this board state. It's actually worth considering. Because again, anytime that we play a run event, you can trash a piece of ice and then move us. If you ever server 1, they won't get their lock online, right? I'm not too worried about the lock right now because they can't put the Trieste in the low key remote because then the lock is protecting the key and then they have other problems. Oh, cool. Sudaka. That's fine. That doesn't do anything. Just a little bit of filtering so they know the top of the deck won't be an agenda. That's a neat low card. This is a really nice way to deal with resources specifically. Again, it's not a typed ice. So like you have to have Amakua or Botulus some way that isn't like, you know, an icebreaker that only breaks a certain type. We'll keep going. Does this count for each piece of ice? Does it remember that we passed that ice even though the ice doesn't exist anymore? Who's keeping track of this? Is this why it should be note-taking? Single access, they know it's not, yeah, an agenda. It's a Lindsay. We got good money for that, though. They kind of messed up by icing over Loki. Yeah, they kind of do. This deck is tricky to play, but if you ice over Loki, you can no longer force us to face check into Loki, which is a big threat of the deck. I think we just finality here. What do we lose? Dirty Laundry, that's fine. So this probably forces the ability. Now, admittedly here, they know the top cards of the deck, so the sabotage is actually kind of unfortunate. But they trashed 2 from HQ. So unless they crack this here, We're going to see a fair few from the deck. Okay, so we still get an archives run. We see, okay, so it's not a Trieste in the remote server. There's a divert. We've seen one simulation reset. So we know the hand is simulation reset. We knew there was a divert. That's gone too. Huh. I think we probably draw once here in legwork. Do we even steel skin? It's obviously free. Yeah, we probably steel skin and then just legwork. Because I think it's likely there's an agenda in HQ here. Oh, Chestuka might be better, but they have a simulation reset in hand. So I think we just legwork here. Again, their ability is only once a turn they used it, let alone obviously it's only on unres dice. So this is a nice time. Lindsay. Obokata, yeah, we need that. Bacterial. Legwork so good, GG. And that was a big part, thanks for the game, because they trashed 2 cards from HQ. Like that makes that sort of multi-access so much better. I think that was way more agendas than you'd expect for them to have, for her to have in the hand at that point in time. So how many cards have we gone through? We've gone through 20 cards. You're expecting about 1 in 6, 1 in 7 in this deck. I think it's like 1 in 6.5. So 3 agendas in 15 cards. There's a bit of simulation resetting, but maybe that's not too unexpected. Yeah, there's going to be big agendas. No matter what, we win on 3 agenda steals. So it doesn't matter which ones. We are playing around this one where we keep as many cards, at least 4 cards in hand, right? Funny enough, I missed the steel skin. But yeah, I think that was good. This deck is tricky to play. I think the ice positioning is matter. And like, she never presented the Ag Infusion ability to be scary because the outermost was never scary, but we'll get it there. D, what do you mean? I actually think this is how you win with 2 Trieste in the trash. Just like go behind Thimblerig? Because yeah, maybe. I think there's a big chance that just behind Thimblerig, we can't deal with that. Like you do Thimblerig, and then maybe throw us off the remote server. And then we have to do it again. I guess the Thimblerig wouldn't be where it would be. Let's do it again. We barely played Essa. Like we played Finality and we sabotaged, I think, 4. Ghost Tongue was good though. I think we did get enough credits for Ghost Tongue, even for how short the game was. Just play mid-tempo Glacier. Yeah, it's hard though. I don't know if that deck has enough money. The cool thing is like in theory, Ag Infusion like gets more value from resing a single ice, so they don't have to res a lot of ice. I'm not sure how much burst economy they did. If they get the lock, they get the lock and can use Thimblerig to get there. Yeah, I think Thimblerig is going to be... It's really hard for us to deal with. Hey, it's Analyze Chris. All right, this is probably the deck. Thanks, you too. This is very likely this deck because it's the deck that a lot of the, I know the Snare Bears have been testing. We played again, mind you, one of the Smurfs that we played against might be obvious is a Snare Bear that we played in the last video. They were playing this deck, but I think the ice suite slightly changes across players, where there's either Endless Eulas, or I think IP block Ping, and then 3 Enigma and Toll Booth. I think there's Toll Booth in this list sometimes. Fun to see such an aggro deck win? Yeah, I guess it is an aggro deck. Time to respect HHN, yes. And not only respect HHN, we have to respect seamless launch into artificial crypto crash, and we have to also respect gaslight into economic warfare. It's very hard to judge any board state in this deck. That hand's really bad. Because like, check this out. So this deck is running 3 crypto crash, and it's running, so this, if this scored, we lose 7 credits, and it's running seamless launch. So the idea is that they install any card on the remote server. We cannot tell. We have no idea. Is it a gaslight? And then if we run and then we don't trash the gaslight, they can pull an economic warfare. Or if we don't run, it's a crypto crash, we lose 7. Heaven forbid we ran another server and suddenly we have 7 credits fewer, and then they could even double seamless into hard news. Like, they're so hard to read the board state here. Like, what is this? Is this a crypto crash turn 1? They called event, of course they do. I don't know. This deck has like a lot of weird ways that like one of the best things you can do, no surprise, is just sit back and establish economy. It feels just like Argus decks back in the day, where if you can just sit back and establish economy and then like start running sooner than they can actually like close the game out, and they win in 3 agenda scores. I mean, seamless is actually pretty quick. So again, we could face check into that. If we want to play an event, we want to face check sooner than the event. I think we can consider it, and then we can event after it. I think Turnpike is like the most annoying ice here. IP block is fine. So I have to pay 3 to go through here. And if we do pay 3, we're not going to be able to sure gamble. So I think we're still going to pay 3 so we don't take a tag here. There's a reason we could have played Sure Gamble first, but now if it's Rashida, we can trash it. Yeah, we have to. But here we probably lost on this turn. We probably lost right now. Like, we have to hope that he doesn't have the hard-hitting news, but I don't want to play an event. Gives me bad flashbacks if a closed count stays. Economic warfare, yeah, I think it's over. Andre, why are you running turn 1? What are you doing? And if this is a gaslight, we don't lose that quickly. Like, why are we running turn 1? Have we learned nothing? It's just not worth it. Like, the chance of it being a crypto crash on turn 1, not that impressive. And now that we have no money, like, this is exactly where runners throw the matchup on turn 1 and then, like, get angry about this card. I don't think we had a reason to do that. So I would, like, here, I would scoop and then just want to play the game again. But we have no hand here besides, like, clear out of it. The deck has 1 market forces. If this is a gaslight and they draw the market forces, we're in a really bad spot. So if that's the case, we kind of want to feather our money like this. Is Mari nuts? These are all 3-ofs in the deck. So, like, I don't think it's that wild. So here there's a draw for the market forces, if anything, but like now we have to force them to have it. That is the one downside of this deck that because I played it. It only has 2 gaslights, 1 boom, and 1 market forces. So the chance of them having the actual thing to punish us with on any board state is kind of low. They overinstalled in server 1, so I think that's a gaslight. So how do we clear the most tags? We can't clear 2 tags, so if that's a gaslight, they don't have enough credits. It doesn't have planner game. Credit Grid, Diesel, and Hope for Marrow? Nah. Maybe, but that gives them money. And I think giving them money by playing an event is probably a worse state for a board state, but that's a very interesting play. The problem is, like, we have to do that and then still get 7 cards in hand, which I think is kind of hard. Yeah, if we had a deuces here, we'd play it. Market forces, that hits us really bad if we click for another credit, so I'm just going to draw once. We're more likely to need to break an Enigma. Something about no hard-hitting news respect on JNet? Yeah. All right, that's a Rashida. So here, credit boom, we die, but there's only 1 of boom in the whole list. So I don't think they have it. Love the idea of them having Rashida value so offensive they have to disrespect the board. Honestly, kind of. So this is either a Bologna or a Crypto Crash with Seamless. There's also a small chance that it's a tomorrow's headline, but you see, like, if we don't play their game, they're economically in shambles. Admittedly, so are we, and I think that advantages them because if they score out of Bologna, it's actually credit positive. But I don't think the Seamless into tomorrow's headline is real. And I'm going to draw. In theory here, we probably shouldn't credit too, because that's probably, what's it called? A Crypto Crash. So we're going to just play around Crypto Crash. I think it's more likely to be a Bologna. But I don't think we're going to try and credit. I think we're going to try and, we're going to discard that. I don't think we want to draw another time. Okay, if they Crypto Crash 1 credit, that's on us. It's a Bologna. Either that or they're playing on Crypto Crash so hard. I think it's a Bologna, though. If you let them have 1 score while you econ hard, you can outpace the crash. I don't think we can outpace that crash that easily. Is there fermenter in this list? I think there is, right? No, hold on. Is this list have a fermenter? The last one didn't. No, it doesn't have a fermenter. No, Daijin, we have no way of getting out of this besides clearing the tags. So we just let them score a Bologna. And then next turn we do credit, and then we play 2 gambles if anything. But we don't want to be on big money. Yeah, it's a Bologna. Good. And then here they can push out a Crypto Crash. Okay, they could have economic warfare hard-hitting news again. Like, we could just restart this whole dance in a second. But in theory, we can do credit. That's our whole turn. And I think this is very likely to be a Crypto Crash, which just pushes us back down in the hole. Card is absolutely messed up. What else could we do here? We could Diesel and then get a deuces. Again, as soon as we play an event, they gain 2 credits, which is like whatever. But if we Diesel, we could potentially get a deuces. I think this one's only on 2 deuces, so it's less likely. 1 deuces. Okay, don't even do that. Maybe they don't have a second seamless. They definitely have a second seamless. And if not, it's a Rashida. But I think they've gone through this many cards in their deck. They're very likely to have a second seamless. Even it could be a gaslight. But I'm pretty sure we're going to spend our whole turn going up to 9 credits and we're just going to lose it to Crypto Crash. It's like, I don't know how to play into Crypto Crash. You need some way to offshore your credits. Because if we do credit, sure gamble, we're a 9, we're back down to 2. Like they score out a 2-pointer, then on game point, we got nothing. So if anything, we do triple credit, run the IP block. And then they have to spend trace 6. That's not good for us. You can try for a sure gamble turn. We can try for a double gamble turn. But like it's almost impossible to do that too. Because I don't know how to play Grand Crypto Crash if we don't have Fermenter. We're not worried about the boom. We're just worried about not having money. I do think we can just send it in centrals. It's just like a turnpike also turns off the whole game. Like, I don't know what the play is here. Because, like, we just have to hope it's not a crypto crash. You want to watch it be a crypto crash? Watch it be a crypto crash. Oh, undo click. We're going to get crypto crashed here. And this is also like playing a robust enough economy, like liberated fermenter, all that sort of stuff, daily cast. Like, it's really important. Obviously, we got Harding News turn 1. And they don't have the seamless, it seems. They're trying to get a new one. Bought the remote? It's doable. Yeah, we could bot and run. That could easily be an NGO. That's what it looks like. Huh. Okay, so they just name event. As they do. So if this is a turnpike, the tag will actually deal with something here. And here they have about 5 credits if that's an NGO front. That'd be ridiculous if it wasn't, but props. Okay, let's just start doing some amount of damage and getting our economy up. So we definitely want to play the sure gamble. We're going to hope that the ghost tongue doesn't hit the sure gamble. That was the best hit. And we're just going to try and get our money up. So they did 2 cards from the top of R&D. Could be a spin doctor, could be a gaslight. We took our core damage, so we're not interested in playing the running hot. We definitely want to play this. We want to play as many events in a single turn as we can for obvious reasons. And I think there's a big chance that we just do the labor rights here. And we are looking for more money. But we're also looking for, of course, we got our breakers in the bin. That's good. We don't have a paperclip yet. We have one in hand. We'll discard it. But we want to get back in just economy. So deuces is really good because we're going to take tags for sure. And then we'll just do the two gambles here. We'll get a card draw. We got an Amaro. That's what we wanted. So we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of that. Okay. Let's see. We have turned the corner. I don't know what this is. That's a gaslight or a spin doctor. I think we'll do the marrow first. What do we law? We hit the running hot. Would like it to be any other way. All right, they did 2 from R&D. Could easily be a spin doctor as well. And we're sabotaging into it, unfortunately. Raindrops is good for face checking. If this one's not on Eula, if it's on Endless Eula, oh, that's fine, actually. I forgot we're not a Banhard deck. So we can play up to 6 cards. I think we just play that to draw 3. We can throw out all of our breakers are well accounted for. Unfortunately, we didn't draw into any economy there. So it is a gaslight. So let's see what they get here. Just a seamless. So we didn't run. So now we're going to get crypto crash down to 3 credits. They didn't have it. We're back down to 3 credits. Should we run the remote server? Probably. Marrow has to hit 1. They've got 4 unknown cards in archives, though. Now it's 5 unknown cards in archives, except we have to watch out because Bologna is probably in within those. Like now we're so far behind that we just cannot afford to respect Hard 8 News. So we want to keep our what's it called there? We did. 3 has to be an NGO. Yeah, 100% it's an NGO. It could be the winning deal, but it seems like an NGO. So they did what? 2 from top of R&D. Mind you, we have to check this sooner than later. We can't get through ping with this credits. We have no money. Corpus at 4, you're in a decent spot. Not anymore. But like, how do we deal with any of their eyes? Right? Like if it's an Enigma, we can't get through it. We have to just force them to have it though. Let's go. Oh, they have more money. Yeah, they're not on 4. They're on 6 plus 8. They're on 14. Okay, that's bad. We're not going to break that. We can float a tag, no problem. We just unfortunately don't here have credits for Bologna. It's just 15 minutes. Oh, sabotage 6. The boom is out though. That's good. So we actually can go full tag me until we find the tomorrow's headline. Yeah, 1 boom out. Light the fire the NGO. No, we install this and they pop the this. Like it's not up to us. We don't have a priority to play this and use it all in the same click. If anything here, we want to just bravado HQ, I think. We'll probably end up with 2 tags, but with the boom in the bin, I don't think we care. We could also consider Chistushkaing, but I think we need the money up front first. So let's just go HQ where there's more ice. Again, they have 8 more credits than it looks like. Okay, whatever. Clear tag first for IP block. I don't think we can afford to do that. Like, we probably just play tag me and then botchless IP blocks or break them, right? Like, because if we clear the tag, we have no way to deal with turnpike. We can't afford 5 credits, 6 credits to deal with our first turnpike. So we just have to go tag me. Because we know where the boom is. Again, the deck only has 1 boom. It's an Enigma. Okay. All right, we're on 9 now. Always fun to pressure NGO and spin? What do you mean? All right, we'd love a finality here. Oh, like playing the light to fire down to pressure them? Yeah, it would be. But they'd pop it right away, and then I don't know if they trash this. At this point, though, they've gone through 3 Rashidas. Not that that's worth light the firing, and then 1 NGO and 1 spin doctor. I think we can run R&D here. Let's draw for like something that gives us some value. I think we can consider dirty laundering R&D. It only costs us 1 credit. There's no like other good server. Dirty laundering archives would be better, but we'll see. Chastushka now? We can't really get through the Enigma that easily. Oh, that's bad. So this is 4 plus 3, and it refunds us 5. So yeah, I think we do it. Hedge fund off the top feels bad. So we probably just want to get money because yeah, we have to Chastushka sooner than later. That'll be 2 credits. This is 1, and then this is 6. Drawing is probably better though, because so much of our money is events. Yeah, like that. So now the only thing we're worried about is market forces, which can push us out of the game. This is fine. That's fine. We have 6 tags. Okay, cool. So here we have to consider what to do. How does this work? When the run ends, draw 1 card for each host pattern. Run any server whenever subroutine resolves during the run. So we can go ahead and raindrops HQ, right? Herandre was going to make a Slee deck. John, what are you talking about? You can't play. People are playing Pinhole. It's so hard. So botchless the Enigma. So yeah, that's going to be cheaper. We can botchless the Enigma. That's going to be 2. This is going to be 2. That's 4. So unfortunately, we lost all our money. I think here we probably raindrops. It'll gain us 3 credits and draw 3 cards for 2 clicks. Alternately, we could just do the IP block. Yeah, that's better. Or tag me. We're just going to hit the IP block. Lane drops, click HQ for draw 3, gain 3. Yeah, we could do a last click. I feel like we just need pressure now, though, to do something. Like, I think here we can consider Chastushkaing. The one thing that we have to watch out is we need credits to steal Bologna. There probably could be an agenda in hand. I don't know what it is. We are technically contesting the remote server, but so much of this is going to be like where the market forces is from. So let's try and draw into, again, I think we have 3 sure gambles in the deck left. So any card draw would be good. Honestly, considering just playing that, just to get sabotage 2 this turn and get a card draw, because I don't think we're going to get a core damage this turn. Now, if we install that, we go down to 3. No, I think we have to botchless this, and then we'd have to do it this turn, right? So that's 2, 4, drops us to 1. I don't like dropping to 1 credits. We don't have a lot of ways to recover from that. I'm not sure what you're meant to do here. We could always botchless the Enigma and then Chastushka. We'd be down on 1 credit. We'd lose it to this. We'd break the botchless. We'd get a Chastushka. It's the most aggressive line we have. Yeah, let's do it. I don't think this is right, but this seems like the most fun line. The problem is our economy is entirely bottomed out, and there's 2 more Bolognas, and it's really hard for us to win the game without stealing a Bologna. Oh, sorry. I'll take a tag, I guess. Also, unfortunately, we're doing this last click, which gives them a whole turn to recover it. But like, hey, such is Enigma. So Chastushka sabotage 4. Their hand went 2 and 3 cards from R&D. So we have to get 6 credits to go through the turnpike. And unfortunately, our deck has 3 copies of Sure Gamble, and we're so far away from playing any copy of them. There's only 12 cards left though, but they like can install advance of Bologna. I think that's the downside of this sort of play is like we're so far away from having the credits required to contest a Bologna in the remote server that they can just slow roll a Bologna in the remote server. That being said, we can first click check archives. I think we could draw into a raindrops. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Any moshing left? No, the deck only has 1 moshing, I think. No, the deck has only 1 moshing. All right, let's just check archives. If we find the, what's it called in there? The market forces, we're in a good spot. So there's a headline. There's a spin doctor. Second, seamless as well. So the market forces could be alive and well. So there's one spin doctor, one market forces across 14 cards. Yeah. 9 tags? Yeah, we're just going to keep getting tagged. So here we could do credit and then run HQ. The problem is like they can set up a play with pushing their mode surfer and market forces. So like there's a bigger chance that we just want to do credit. Because if we credit, we lose it to the turnpike. So I think we just want to do credit. If we draw into a labor rights, we're in a good spot too. In terms of the finality in the list, because the list only has one finality, we haven't drawn that yet. That actually is probably one of their ways that we can close the game out. But here they just do install advance with the blown out. Ooh, last spin doctor actually. That opens up a lot because they're going to just put the boom back in. Shit. Spin doctor boom. Okay. And now gaslight's a problem. So we have to trash the boom somehow. I'll trash the boom as many times as we need to. You can still credit, gamble, run. Oh, they have the market forces now. Yeah, that's the card we're playing around. So if that's the gaslight, we lose the game. Gaslight's 2 to trash. We have to get through the IP block for 3, and we have no money. How many Chaz do we have left? I don't know if it's going to matter, but we have 2 left. Thinking. But like, they're clawing to close the game out. For someone who's gone 10 tags in, it's still hard for them to close the game out. Like if we had slightly more robust economy, if we had one fermenter that was just going for a couple turns, we just crack fermenter, run server 1. That's the thing, is like our economy is totally gutted, but like there's so many good reasons to play the standard economy cards when they're attacking you with like, market forces and crypto crash, stuff like that. But currently having credits in our credit pool is really important to not lose the game. So we could get through here. We'd have to get through R&D and have, and have at least 1 credit to trash boom. If we install a Ghost Tongue or a Marrow, they can just sabotage from hand because they know it won't win the game. So we have to get through this with 1 credit. We're short. In terms of economy we could draw into, we have to top deck the last Raindrops Cut Stone, I think, to be able to do something cool here. Or even top deck like a, potentially? Or labor rights would be playable. But clicking for credits doesn't get us anywhere here. Taunting us. We shuffled those back in. Do we have creative in the deck? No, this list doesn't have creative, let alone 2 clicks for 5 credits. Not the worst, but I don't think we'd want to do it. So we have to hope that's a Rashida instead of the Gaslight. Actually, we can check that. It can't be Rashida. So if anything is in a remote server, it's either the winning agenda into Seamless or it's the Gaslight, which we've seen none. So super, super, super likely that we're just straight dead here. Mind you, we messed up turn 1 so unimaginably bad. Now, in terms of winning off of single accesses, we'd have to hit every single artificial crypto crash left in the deck because all the agendas in the deck are these 2, 3 blown and 3 crypto crash. So it's almost impossible for us to win off centrals. Not impossible, but nearly impossible. We have to get a 1 in, technically a 2 in 13 and then a 1 in 12. I'm not counting on it. So I think the only line out here would be like to draw into us. I can't play that either. Yeah, that's game. That is game. Yeah, we got nothing. So I prefer the Anarchs that run like money research instead of S's weird event votes econ. I think it's good. I think there's going to be some problems that present to you. Mind you, we live in a prison we built ourselves. Like that's on us. But yeah, no, I agree. Like the consistency of those cards, it's hard to turn down. So that's Gaslight, and then they just drop boom and we lose. Yeah, there you go. Good game. Imagine this deck with Arc Memories. Yeah, right? Good game. So like we totally messed up our economy, and I still think that was a relatively like, I wouldn't say close, but we had a chance of closing the game out. Yeah, I probably shouldn't run. It's just like this deck does really good to fork you on different board states that if you can just present them with like very steady economy, they have to rush out. Yeah, good game. IMO event econ feels hard at the moment. I think this deck can do it. The mill has game against slim decks. Yeah. It was close enough. I think I shouldn't. I think I was playing so hard against that last market forces because I just need money. And if you top deck, I lose on the spot. Yeah, all our money problems are solved by money on the sports day. It's just, yeah, market forces is going to make that an issue. Or just a gaslight in their mode super hard. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the problem again, we just can't steal Bolognas to get out of the spot. So we have to basically make sure they don't draw into the boom. It's hard. Just getting 15 minutes of a card left in the deck is really funny. Just get one more card. Hey, you too. Catch your end. Chris is nice. Cool. With the turn one misplay, you still held your own quite well. Yeah, we could have done better. The turn one play was bad. I don't know, again, if you're worried about Crypto Crash on turn one, but I feel like our deck is, again, really rough into that sort of economic warfare Crypto Crash sort of thing, that I wonder if that means that we have to take more risky lines or we just play safer. It's like one of the two extremes. We can't tell which one it is exactly. We can't tell which one. I'm also very lucky that I know that list like nearly card for card because I played it. And if you watch the what's it called, the auto dialer deck that we posted recently, it's like I'm playing around knowing they have exactly one boom and exactly one market forces, which again, it just takes. What is happening today? What's going on in Jaina Casual? Oh my God. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. Good luck having fun. Thanks, you too. This is why, like, so many people played ESO that people are just like, I almost wrote thanks, you tool. That people are just, you know, playing hard hitting news turn one decks. How is the Endline 4 influence in Boom 3? How? There's much more ability to play around Boom, I think. It's trashable, right? Endline isn't trashable. That's a really big deal. Like, that game was about the trashability of Boom. You complain about HHN at the top of the stream and Jaina answer. I know every match this evening has been like an absolute uphill grind. Okay. This is the sort of deck they have can quintessentially have a card on the table turn one that if you don't address it, you can lose the game on the spot. Now, sabotage the corp trashes, which is really good. We're talking about AR enhanced security specifically. But you know, this is why people play good stuff 419 and Hoshiko consistently because they have legs against these sort of matchups. So it could be called casual personal news to demonstrate what to expect playing casual. I don't mind. It's like I'm playing a tournament-based deck. Like I'm playing a high tournament deck. It's not up to me to determine, you know, we don't know what they're doing specifically. Boom does more damage, but there feels like Boom is less scary than the line. You're seeing way less than the line, I think, in competitive standard. Because it's hard to flatline someone, and Boom flatlines people. So I'm not actually sure. It's hard. It's also like a deck slot thing. You just have to play fewer deck slots. You put 2 booms in there, you're done. At least Sabotage doesn't tag you. It's one from HQ, one from R&D. No idea what server one is. We have 4 hand size. Let's go try and find something to give us more hand size. Okay. I don't want to raindrops turn 1 because that's how you get hard-hitting news when you have 3 credits. I feel like we figured it out by now. Light the Fire is like not the worst card. I think I'm going to install Light the Fire just like on a whim to see what it does. At locals, I value Ian the line to trash the second APOC. That's worth doing. Yo, we got to Light the Fire this thing. It saves us 4 credits. And then we draw a card. Why wouldn't we Light the Fire this thing? That's a stim hack. You stim hack pad campaign turn 2. Take a core damage. And we draw a card. And they sabotage 2. I'm coming for you, pad campaign. Now we have to ask before any click. Like here we have to ask if they want to do something. Because in theory, we can Light the Fire the Spin Doctor. I'd argue that on this board state, it's probably not worth anything. But we're going to still try and, you know, convince them that it's worth considering. But in theory, if they say no and we get to spend a click, we can just like send the Light the Fire into the Spin Doctor. Problem is, we're going to do that. And we're going to get hard-hitting news on turn 3. That's actually pretty good for us. Normally we get hard-hitting news on turn 1. This might be turn 2. But like, I want to play the running hot. Hold on, we can see what this is first. We have no economy in our hand. That's bad. Spark style gameplay? Does that just mean a bad CTM deck? Hey, yo. Yeah, I don't like Spark. I think we just raindrops HQ at this point. They've drawn a lot. Has Pat campaign been done for joke before? Honestly, no, it hasn't. It really hasn't. And I'm not being facetious. I don't think it's happened. Oh, resistor, sick. So that's fine. That's not like a real face check. That's cheap. This is nice that one worlds at some point. I don't think we're gonna trace into this, so we're just gonna get a card in 3 credits. The fact that they res that, so they spent 0 so we could draw a card, means that there's definitely something good in HQ. So that seems accurate. Action at every paw. Yeah, there's an action at every paid ability window now. So some part of it wants me to like sabotage this. I think we're gonna just light the fire server too, just to get the spin doctor out of there. Action. We've already ran, so Hardy News is already alive and well. This is like the case where like the successful run clause on what's it called starts to matter. On this successful run or non-successful run of Hardy News, because we haven't made a successful run yet. They did 2 from R&D. Oh no, CTM trace. I totally forgot about CTM trace. I totally forgot about CTM trace. I thought it would just trash itself. It would just like send itself out and tag itself on the way out. What are you doing? Okay, we're getting Hardy News. Then that one's on us. That's fine. That's on us. Oh, okay. Okay, well, we got tagged anyways. It looks like it's on an MC austerity list, so that's not good. We'll take the to the score area. Thanks. We want one of those. We have a single tag. We're gonna get rid of. Botchless makes short work of this thing, but so does Paperclip. I don't know that. Oh, 3. We have 3 hand size. What have we done? Okay. All right, second pad campaign, 5 to 6. We have a tag though, so planogram is the punishment. Ah, we got away with it. We're alive. Okay. I'm going to start with the running hot. In theory, I should start with the diesel, but there's a big chance that we hit the steel skin. If we hit the diesel off the running hot, we're good. Draw 1 card. Thank you. So we sabotaged 6 so far. We drew the marrow, which is like really important. Less so this turn. They did 1 from HQ, 1 from R&D. Okay. I think we can consider worrying about that being a spin doctor. So we'll just check this, keep our money up. We didn't get the news last turn. This is the card that if you don't deal with a turn 1, but we found a second news team. Just love it. I wonder if they're in stock buyback. We have a lot of money. I don't want to install this turn because it sabotage. We've already done it. Oh, we had a lot of clicks that turn. It's a Maryland. Okay. So we're just keeping our money in line. So they're on austerity. That's a lot of influence. So some of these lists aren't on boom. I haven't looked at an austerity list in a long time, but they had hedge fund. They're on 11. Let's get this down. Unfortunately, we're going to hit the diesel. Let's not do that. Let's do that. Ah, shit. We lost our sure gamble. That's fine. But now we have hand size. This is a card to remove tags, which is nice. We haven't checked the table in a bit, so I actually want to check the table here. You just kind of have to mix it up. Yeah, there you go. That's why you mix it up. We are able to do that and still have enough money to not feel terrible about the hard-hitting news threat. But we're on game point. We can win with a single sabotage as long as we hit a Bologna. Influence counting so much more important than standard? Yeah, I think so. I think there's a winning agenda in archives. Do we have a paperclip? We do. So we could Chastushka here, but it'd be very expensive. I think we're going to start with the labor rights just to get more economy back in our deck. So we have access to every single breaker we could want. Now, what do we want to bring back? Never seen that ice on HQ? Yeah, it's Resistor. World's winning list. There's full arts of this out there. So we want to get back. I just like doing more sabotage because they haven't been doing a proactive board state. So they definitely have agendas in HQ. So I think we're going to do a dirty laundry. And I think we're going to do a sure gamble. Raindrops is also pretty good here. All right. So we could Bravado HQ. That'll put us on 5. Yeah, let's Bravado HQ. I think they have an agenda in hand here. Now, tracing this costs us about 4. We might as well just paperclip through it and like pay 1 extra and ensure that we don't get traced out. Now we'll have 8 credits after this. There's agendas in this hand. Psychographics. Okay, so they definitely have hard-hitting news. We have to play around that a fair bit. Now we could Chastushka and just run archives. I think that Chastushka here is pretty fair, but I want to make sure that we don't get hard-hitting news. They have a lot of money though. I don't want to Chastushka and not be able to check archives. So we're going to see a second piece of ice on HQ sooner than later. I think we're just going to take a credit here. 8 credits. We could still get economic warfare. Again, we've seen 4 influence so far with the Maryland campaign. Install draw. Kind of, if you do that fast enough, it feels like you're near top. That's what I was worried about, that was going to happen. Okay. They're going to shuffle back. So the top of R&D is unknown. I do think there's something worth going to archives, but we want to check into it with, what's it called? With how many Chastushkas are left in the deck? Only one. I feel like that's probably how we win, that I don't want to moshing exactly that. So let's moshing this. No, let's just raindrops archives. One house. Okay. No. We're just going to wait till there's enough cards in there to check. Oh, because the subroutine doesn't resolve. That sucks. Still not worth it for us. Okay, so there you have that. Hey, Kat, it's going okay. How are you doing? I lost to the Asmari deck. Really bad, too. Really, really bad. I think we can check what this is. Might be a news team. It's a Rashida. If we trash that, we go for the tag. I don't think we can afford to trash that, unfortunately. We're doing okay. All we have to do is not mess up here. I'm going to take a credit. We didn't really do much for our board state. How are you doing, Kat? You finished all your art? Rashida? Vindicated? Oh, yo, turn one, we got hard-hitting news. It was so bad. It was so bad. And then still, it was a bit of a struggle. We played against Chris, and it was still a bit of a struggle to close the game out because there was only one Spin Doctor left, and we got the boom out. But, like, we just did not have the money. This deck doesn't have Fermenter, so, like, it's hard. 2 out of 3 to go. Okay, 3 stuff in the remote servers. Actually, this is worth checking. Because there's probably a Spin Doctor on the table by this point. We've only seen one so far and was trashed. Well, we like to fired it. Let's drop. Yeah, we got to play that. All right, we can just check these. We're going to keep our running hot as a secret last click. It's an Amani Sanai. Ooh, that's bad. The moshing the Chistuka isn't bad since it can recur with labor rates. It's not that consistent, though, and I feel like we're nearly set up to do it. But like now we have a good moshing, right? As much as we're going to ruin it with running hot. So this is a very important card. We have enough money though that I think it'll be just, we'll win on 2 agenda steals hopefully. Okay, we're going to hit this for free. We lost the moshing. Okay, don't have to worry about that. What art? You'll see soon. Yeah, you'll see soon. A lot of servers for yellow ID that isn't NEH. Oh, CTM is like, has been doing this consistently for a very long time. Like look at this agenda, right? Like we can't let that get scored out on the table. It says when we trash things, they take tags. So it's 2 tags to trash things. Oh, wow. Whoa. That was not right. We obviously don't undo our click. That's a Sansan. So that is worth trashing to some extent because that means they will score out with this thing on top of it and then everything's trashable. But I think that's fine. If they pay 8 credits to score an agenda here, I think we're in an okay spot. As much as they could consider tracing. I think if anything here, we like run HQ, see if they res, and then we get like Chastushka next turn. They're putting on assets, so doesn't HQ have a lot of agendas? It definitely does. I think HQ has probably 2 agendas in it. But we have to like really go tag me on a turn, and we know they have psychographics in hand. We're going to end the run there, but it's just hard for us to deal with that. We can consider checking server 9. We'll get punished if that's not good. Wow, we've taken 5 core damage. Oops. I think we can do credit. We'll just draw deeper. Yeah, that's what we want. Installing non-agendas increases the likelihood the cards in HQ are agendas. Oh yeah, no, it's the opposite there. Okay, so it's a Maryland, the 1 card. For what it's worth, I don't know if they need this money. That they might not want to keep it secret, but I do think here they're gonna. Oh, they're not even gonna score out. Oh, it's a Spin Doctor. Oh, that's huge. I do think there was probably a lot of points in archives, and they're just waiting to draw into that because they definitely have a Spin Doctor and something to score in hand. So we need to contest this first, and then we can set up our Chastushka. Is R&D not worth it? No, going for singles is generally not worth it. If we hit a turnpike last click, we have a tag. It's pretty bad. I'd rather set up and like get a Chastushka to land than to work for a single axis here. Let's try server 10 first. I'm assuming they're going to pop this. If they don't, we'll have to trash it. We'll have to take a tag, but then we can trash multiple things on the table. Okay, Spin Doctor went back. We'll check server 11. It's a Rashida. Okay, so here we could trash the Rashida. Trash their Sansan and clear the tag. I think that's fine. Like one of the biggest things is controlling the message. It gives you the tag the first time you trash a card, an installed card. Not even an installed card. Yeah, an installed card. This one doesn't care. It's not installed as any card. And so then you want to trash 2 things a turn. They boost into this trace. I'm not sure. And then we go server 7, we trash this, and we clear a tag. We'll still have less money than them, but they have no win condition on the table. And we can always just clear the hard-hitting news. So it's 12 to what's going to be 15, 16, 17, 19. So it's like, you know, we have enough money, but it's not close. But now they have no win condition on the table, no scoring server, and they're like decking themselves out. Like they have to win. 2 more cards. All right. One of these could be a price sec. That would be the bad one. I think if anything, if we want to go R&D, we want to raindrops it. I think that's fair. Labor rights is really important. Now, I think we have to check that these are not spin doctors before we commit to the Chestushka for obvious reasons. So let's go check what these are. We've been checking consistently, though, that I don't think they're going to put out anything. MC Austerity, they didn't fire that. That's something we have to deal with. We're not drawing through our deck enough. We're just going to hit this on R&D. Just because we need to get through our deck. Archangel, wow, cool. So that fires. So there's going to be Trace 6 for them to return something to hand. Now, technically, this is our most expensive card, but if they return these to hand, we can reinstall them and then do more core damage. So I'm not actually sure what they're incentivized to do. It's 8. We're not going to boost 8. None of these cost more than 8 to reinstall. This card is really neat, too. It fires when you access it. This was like a really, really meta-defining card when it came out. Oh, this puts it on 4 hand size. It's okay. We're just going to install it. Rashida, we can trash that without taking penalty. Oh, we have a finality. Are y'all thinking what I'm thinking? If we finality here right now, right here, right now, we do sabotage 2 and we see 4 cards. If we don't steal either 2 agendas or 1 Bologna, we lose the game to negative hand size. But if we do win, we win. Because this doesn't stop us. You thinking about it? Are you thinking about it? If you lose this way, I'm going to clip it. Yeah, I hope. I think we're in control. Pogs off, thinking in chat. I think we are in control that we don't have to hit this button. Look at the agenda math here, right? Like 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're playing 20 agendas. So say they have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is by definition a bad idea. This is not a good idea, but it's an idea we have. We trashed Rashida. This is literally 4 new cards. And they did 2 from HQ. Which honestly, it doesn't matter where they do it from here. Trace 6. Okay. That's cool. You just put more cards in our hand. No, we flatlined. Let's go. 4 cards. It's a spin doctor. That was the unchecked card. They're going to shuffle 2 non-agendas back. Again, they want to sabotage their agendas. Reverse the counts. Uh-oh. Take 2 tags. Okay. That's fine. We have no board state. But the next card has to be a Bologna. I'm out, GG. I had to go for it. There was no reason to do that. They were not winning the game anytime soon. But that just seemed way too fun. Not even 1 agenda. But yeah, they definitely had agendas in hand. I think we're kind of likely to get something there. We're just playing around for 1 Bologna. But yeah, if you're wondering what happened, why we lost, is we have now ended the turn on negative hand size and you failed to discard down. All the points are in HQ. I think there's a lot of points in HQ, mind you. This is turn 9 and they've scored out no agendas. They fired 3 spin doctors with 1 shuffling. So they definitely have almost all the agendas in hand. I think that's the worst case by a mile, is that they have it. Hey, catch your hand. Serves you right? That's fine. Imagine it worked out. Like that's why we're doing it. Because sometimes it works out. Oh man, that would have been so good though. That would have been so good. Yeah, that's for the content. Let's go. We just needed 1 Bologna. It wasn't unreasonable. For what it's worth there, if we had the legwork, we would have just sent the legwork HQ. The deck has legwork in it, right? Yeah, if we had the legwork, we would have won the game. Yeah. But it didn't? Yeah, but results-oriented thinking. No, that was definitely the wrong line, but it was potentially the right line. Hey, that's a hand, though. We have at least a Marrow that can Steel Skin. So this turn we can do Gamble, Marrow, and then it hits Steel Skin. And that's really good. I don't recognize any of the folks we're playing against. Not tonight, but the last couple of games. Best of luck. Have fun. Dave Mulligan, love it. Again, this sort of outfit list is pretty popular right now. We don't know if it's just fast events or whether it's a bit of Also, like kill package again. Every single deck we played against tonight, I think, has been a hard-hitting news deck, besides Izzy's, which could have been a hard-hitting news deck. Oh no, we played against Ag Infusion once, so no, not exactly, but yes, almost, nearly almost. That's where the misdirection ended up in that first deck we played, huh? Just getting frustrated with standard. Mashing worked out. Yeah, no news in mind. Yeah, I think it was you and the looked like Sebastian K's Ag Infusion list. Apology if it wasn't Sebastian K's. That someone has a cool Ag Infusion list and it'd be like, well, you also don't play this? Okay, this is probably a Spin Doctor. I learned that on the other day. So actually, maybe it's a Rashida. If it's a, no matter, we're just going to hit that button. Ah, we didn't hit the steel skin, whatever. I think with 11 credits, we can afford to run this. We just died a snare. That's it. We died a snare. If that was the case, though, we should have ran it before we played the Marrow. That is very, very much incorrect. But I think it's a Rashida. Yeah, there you go. All right, so 10 to 5. They could too big to fail. Economic warfare hit us with the hard hitting, and we can still clear 3 tags, though. Our economy will be gutted, but we won't lost the game. Just the bad outfit cards all shuffled together. I don't think there's bad outfit cards. They have 10 more credits. We have a bad publicity. We're not very good at using it, but Marrow fires here. They sabotage 2 from HQ, 1 from R&D. Let's go. I think we're just going to hit the labor rights button. I hit the wrong. I literally misclicked. That's fine. That feels fine. So here, I don't think we have to run that much. Have you seen Borehole? One day. Okay, here, I think we want to first sure gamble to get our money up. That's the most important card of the hand. Now we want to running hot and hope that we hit the paperclip. All right, that's fine. We're going to have a bunch of clicks left here. Man, I really like running hot. I think here we can afford to bravado into HQ. We're punished only if it is a trebuchet. But they installed it when they had 5 credits, so it's probably more likely a mouseless. I don't know if we need a afford to run here. We have how many clicks left? We have more hand size than clicks, so we'll diesel. The diesel has been feeling good comparatively. We don't want to install any of these because we've already taken our damage for the turn. What did they sabotage from? 2 cards from R&D. Let's go just check archives and then click for a credit before a Spin Doctor comes down. 5 cards. 2 Spin Doctors and above the law. Not that we have 1 resource, but 2 Spin Doctors. They're in retribution. That means they're probably on public trail. 2 Spin Doctors. You know what? I really ought to add Borehole to the list. If you're playing fast advance, I think there's a chance. It just accelerates you and gives you money. Obviously, it gives you money really slowly, but maybe it's something to put in a remote server to distract them while you score out. Probably not the worst. Run R&D, hit the 3rd and trash it with bad publicity too. Advance. Okay, so we have to figure out a way to get through this puzzle. If this is a trebuchet, we lose our Marrow. Feels bad. If it's the other one, we need to get our paperclip down. Also difficult. Maybe karma is a thing. You think there's any karma for the person who just sends a lethal finality into R&D as a stunt? There's no karma for that. That's not admirable. If we lose our Marrow, we go down to 3 hand size. I don't love it. Yeah, just be as aggressive as we can be. At least you still above the law so they can't resolve on you, but those retributions are coming. Yeah, above the law, though, we only have 1 resource. Oh, that's sick. That's actually fantastic. We know that's an agenda. We can get into this. Is there any stunt we can do here? I think we can running hot as stunt. Oh, we could have ghost tongued first, though. I think we messed that turn up. Okay, well, we can't ghost tongue no more. Okay, 2 from R&D. Wow. Server 3. We'll go in here. We'll pay 2. Half of that's bad publicity. That's probably an agenda. I think it's an advanced Atlas. You want to get those aggressively when they're sabotaging your deck. All right. So here we can draw for a dirty laundry. Cool. We'll check this. See 2 more. Get the regulatory. We're on game point. Could have mad dashed. Should have mad dashed. Now we just don't want to get dead to anything. How do we not get dead to anything? How do we not go die? Just draw. Good. Cool. Now sabotage is scary when they're on game point and they have 1-pointers. What a turn. Yeah, it was a bit of a turn. It's a bit risky scoring about border control, but like a lot of players respect that. Like if it's a bulwark, it's fine. If it's a trebuchet, we lose our Marrow. That's pretty bad. And like even if they score out, they're going to have to deal with the Marrow triggers. Like this is just a clock on the game if you get it down early enough and they have 1-pointers. They have a lot of money. They only have 13 credits. That's not a lot of money. All right. Oh, we have to pay 3 for this? Not on my watch. All right, we just hit a Steel Skin Scarring off of that, so we can shuffle cards back into the deck. I am really liking Labor Rights. This feels just good. It just feels good. It feels really good. I think a Diesel? Like, that was sick. I've been thinking about running NGO and Outfit just to bluff Atlas. It's way too slow, I think. Like, I think you can set up early Atlases that are a bit more secure than just border control, but it just feels too slow. I don't know. Maybe you can play 1, and as soon as they've seen 1, they think you have more, so it like opens up a lot. Let's get the Ghost Stun down. That's the card we wanted. 2 more Sabotage. They have to sabotage from HQ here if they want to be safe. Otherwise, they can just lose off the top. And we have a Dirty Laundry to check if they sabotage. If they sabotage 2 from R&D, we Dirty Laundry Archives. Well, we probably consider the rest of our turn. 2 from HQ. So here we want to go HQ. So let's Raindrops HQ. We could lose any of these to, mind you, we go down to 1 hand size if they Trebuchet our Marrow. That's ugly. But I think this is a Mouseless and they can't afford to res. Oh, that's fine too. That's really good. Oh, wait. Sorry. I can consider breaking. Okay, so let me redo this. So this is a Bulwark. We can go through it for, thanks. I forgot that we could break this. So this we can go through for 7 credits. It'll be 1 with Bad Pub, so it's 6 credits. Here we get 3 cards though, but we lose our Paperclip. Vlad Grid could be another option. Vlad Grid's like 4 influence though. It's really hard to splash. Vlad Grid is like way much more influence. If it was less influence, you'd see it out of faction. You don't even see it in faction. We do 7, 6, we go down to 5. No, I think we do break it. Yeah, let me just run that back. Because we're getting money off of this anyways. I think we win off this run. But we can Dirty Laundry to recover from here pretty easily. In fact, we can also like maybe Steel Skin Scarring first. I don't think we need the card draw. And this is like a not an expensive run because we get 3 back, right? But I think we're likely to hit a Regulatory or a Food here. Yeah, okay. Good game. Ooh, yeah, that felt like Essa. That felt cool. Only 1 in there. Losing 2 spins early is rough for sure. Yeah, they lost 2 spins early. Obviously, that can't be good. And then they sabotage from HQ, which, you know, you feel like you have to when the game is in a bad spot. But then that's when we send it HQ. Ah, so flooded out beans. Thanks, you too. Flooded opposite of last game where you couldn't find agendas. Tough. See you. Hey, cheers. I think last game they also were flooded. We just never ran HQ. And like the 1 turn that we kind of made it obvious that we wanted to run HQ, they put a Funhouse in front of HQ, which like, well, we can't deal with that well. Are we just gonna play ESA all night? I think so. It's already like 11:30. Is everyone doing okay? How's everyone doing? Do you have a CO this weekend? Hey, it's Jenny. Sports. That's cool. Let's get an early Marrow. Sports is really fun. Ready? Practicing for the CO? Muting. Hi. Hey. Oh, awesome. Best of luck. All right. There's a CO in, I think it was Melbourne. So here, our opening hand, Steel Skin, Bombshell's not great, but Vibrato's okay. We don't have Stargate. So the way that we're going to control this game is I'm getting a Marrow and hopefully that doing some amount of damage. But like checking archives can just give massive tempo. We have to mulligan this because we're looking for Ghost Tongue. That's great. And Chestushka, something non-HHN. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I believe you. Sports mitosis. I haven't seen a lot of mitosis, and it just feels like the Jinteki decks now have a, you know, more consistent game plan that doesn't require, you know, bluffing out traps potentially. They can just put the trap on the table and res it and say you got to trash this. All right, so sports, one of the best things you can do is not steal a lot of agendas. We don't know if this is going to be fast break, if it's going to be 1-turn combo, or just like good stuff sports. And good stuff sports is like pretty good in just about any meta. Specifically right now, there's not a lot of imp. Stargate is still a thing. And there's not a lot of Clot, I don't think. There's not a lot of people playing Shaper, which by definition, not a lot of Clot. All right, well, we just Chestushka. Keep the Chestushka. Essa, what have you done? That's the 1 card I wanted. I took the 1 in 4. I didn't want any of these. Whatever, we'll try another one. We didn't, but that's fine. So Raindrops could hit R&D. Drafter would be like kind of ugly. 1 HQ, 1 R&D. Do it first? I don't know. Probably worth it to do it first, honestly. The 1 credit saving here is probably not worth the 1 in 4. Toronto CO May 13. Oh yeah, Z-Bag, right. There's one coming up. I think there's some players who are thinking of being able to come down for it. As long as people drive. I don't think I'll be able to make it, but that's really sick. It's like watching you play S on Saturday. I feel like that was probably a jab in me, and I don't know how to take that. This card's neat too. It allows us to trash agendas. That's cool. Let's just go R&D. This gives us money. Andre, I should show you the screenshot where I stole almost 30% of a sports deck. Were you just all the negative points? A lot of times for corporation, it doesn't make sense to res on central runs to raindrops because you give card draw and you don't want to do that. So sometimes this run just goes through and we gain 3 credits. Dirty laundry. Did you just say inconsistent game plan? Goes back to lurking. Yeah, it is a drafter. That's bad. At least we got that out of the way, but that is the one thing that rebuilds the board states. So the sabotage becomes tools and a tranquility. Nice. Really good. Once per turn counts our turn. Really good. It's not a jab. It's how core damage snipe Joe's Chastushkas constantly. All right. So this is going to add 1 card from archives. So they added a card and then she added an unseen card from HQ to server 1. Could be the same card. Probably isn't. And she used tranquility to gain 2. Yeah. Okay, cool. Rashida. Yeah. Okay. We have a lot of cards now. You think what I'm thinking? It'll be a next turn. I don't want to do this turn because we already have done our damage. So we'll do that. We'll throw out 2 breakers. But yeah, we probably will light the fire this server just so we don't have to trash this. I stole like 18 cards. I'm not sure the Corp had enough points left to win the game. I think that can happen in the Thule deck too. That we played on this channel before. It has so many negative points. You can get to a point where the corporation can't win, but the runner can't win. It's a good feeling. Ah, get out. Oh, that's fine. Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. 5 credits, mind you, when sports medal scores, we have to trash that. I don't think we will pay for it. I think we'll just, I'm sorry. I think we will pay for it. I don't know what's happening. We're going to start here. So we trashed 3 cards. We have all our breakers in the bin. Let's go get back our Chastushka. I don't think we need a lot of money. I think we're going to do diesel and dirty. Okay, we drew a paperclip. Not what we want, but I think overall our deck is better. Let's just keep doing it. So we trashed our finality. We want that. And then we'll do diesel. And then I think sure gamble. But there's a chance that the Botulos is how we break ice. Let's just get money. Okay, not good. Those are bad. We have a big incentive to trash this, but I want to trash it next turn with Light the Fire. I think we can poke HQ here. This doesn't really do much. Do you ever just send this HQ to gain 3 credits? I don't think we need money that bad. Let's draw once for, I was going to say the other one. That gives us clicks potentially, and we'll just go HQ last click. Going HQ last click is kind of bad, because if we steal an agenda, she can make a good decision whether she wants to draw 2 cards without worrying that we're going to access them. So if you want to play against sports, again, running last click into HQ is not the best. Okay. So she's probably closer to 14 agenda points than some of the 11 agenda point ones, like this world list. Oh, mind you, Sokka is streaming again. It looks like he's streaming again. If you haven't followed Sokka on Friday, it looks like he's back to weeklies. But yeah, that sort of list was running 11 agendas. So we're looking probably at 14 to 15. So as many 1-pointers. We're expecting mega prees, hyperloops, and then just some good stuff. Okay, this is sick because we get to do this play, action, action. So this draws a card, does a core damage, probably hits a steel skin. I just think we don't want to hit the raindrops. But now we can make a run, no action. So we'll deal with server 1. Hit the raindrops. That's okay. I didn't know Sokka was streaming. Yeah, he made a video. I'm subscribed to Sokka that says like back to weeklies. So those are usually Friday nights. So that's tomorrow. I'll have to dust off my Smurf and go play him. Go get him. Draw 3. Okay, a lot of steel skins. We have our Fractor, or sorry, our killer, but I don't want to pay 5 to deal with Drafter on this turn. Single axes, I don't think they're that worth it. Like, I think we're better here just setting up. As much as we have 3 hand size, we need to find a Marrow like nearly immediately. If this is the case, I think we just send a Raindrops HQ. Yeah, I think we just send a Raindrops HQ here. This is more likely to be like a mega pre. Okay, we stole one of those. That's not great. So we'll see if she takes 2 cards or 2 credits. All right, we both got 3 credits, but 2 cards makes sense. Okay, we'll throw that out. We really need a marrow before, again, there's a lot of agendas that are going to be scored out. And we haven't seen a single spin doctor. I think we've only sabotaged 2 so far with an HQ open for this many turns. We haven't drawn into a Chastushka. We did mill one and shuffle it back in. So let's see. Another Tranquility, that tracks. There's going to be 3 in the list for sure. And this is low key, like a lot of value for the deck. Just getting the free card draw of this with credits. It's exactly what their ID does, but very consistently turn over turn. And that, you know, just the bare minimums you need to get a functional sports medalist in terms of like Audacity scoring out for 1 to 0 credits. This helps a lot. Just usually exists to get knocked out of grip by core damage is the truth of Essa. That's why the less long that you hold them, the more likely you can get them done. I wonder if this list is also running Elevagao. I don't know. I think sports medals are running Elevagao, like 1 or 2. Biotic. Okay, this is going to be expensive. Let's see if this is the good one, the Luminal. Just a Vitruvius. I think we're very happy that she spends, it wasn't 7 because of Tranquility. It was like 6. But let's go find a Chastushka. Let's go. Not even considering it, just hitting the button. Sabotage 4. Now here we can check archives 3rd click and then run back HQ in 4th click. So if she chooses to draw, I find Essa hard to pilot. I think Essa is definitely trickier to pilot than a lot of other decks, but is fun as much as there is a lot of extremes. All right, so 1 Elevagao, and then we stole the first Mega Pre. That's bad. So there's 2 triggers here, and now the Mega Pre's are online. I think here we're more likely to need to trash the Tranquility. Especially if she doesn't do card draw. She does do card draw, okay. So I think with 1 Audacity out, we probably want to just trash the Tranquility to slow the game down. Okay, that's fine. Loving that there's been more consistent Netrunner streamers, almost 1 for each day of the week. Yeah, it's really good. And if you're thinking like, I don't want to stream on Monday or Thursday because someone else is streaming, still do it. Like the more streamers, the more options there is for content. Like it's super important. I'm like so happy more people are making content for this game. Is there a sports list that isn't running 3x bifurcation? I think so. I don't think they all are. I honestly think like, well, it's easy to score out. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I feel like there might be. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's been a minute since I've seen the lists. Okay, we have all our breakers in the bin. We can consider labor rates in here, but there's no huge labor rates target. This deck is fast enough, generally sports medal is, that I don't feel like we have to like labor rates perfectly into like every Chastushka, that we can just play what we have. Now the issue here is we don't have a lot of money. We're going to have to deal with Gatekeeper. We're going to have to deal with Hagen. Hagen will face check into, we don't care. Would hitting HQ for spin and leaving archives be fine? HQ for spin. Thanos, what do you mean? Core damage SBB is not 3x bifurcation, right? Wait, what's SBB? Stock buyback? Oh, yeah, I don't think they are. But I think those, I'm not actually sure how those decks look. I haven't seen the core damage sports in a while. Okay, so what we want to do here, we definitely need to draw into our Marrow like a year ago. We could use labor rates as a way to draw into Marrow, but we don't have a lot of card draw cards left that we can shuffle into. I think we still do it because we want to hit the Marrow this turn. So we didn't trash a Marrow. So we want to get back cards that can draw us into the Marrow. So I think it would just be 3 Steelskin Scarring, or probably running hot and 2 Steelskin Scarrings. Money is like a bit not great. Okay, we're going to discard cards here. So we're just going to do this. And then I think we're just going to install this on an HQ ice and hope it's not a magnet. Instead of checking archives after Chastushka, would hitting HQ for spin and leaving archives be fine? Oh, yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance that we never run archives. I think there's a big chance that like we never run archives because running archives turns on their ability on, let alone because we stole a Mega Pre, let alone we stole things. So there's a big chance that we just never run archives until there's a lot in there. I think it's harder though right now because we've seen no spin doctors. If there's like 2 spin doctors out, I think we'd feel better about it. But I think it's totally a reasonable line. I just have no idea how robust our game plan is the longer the game goes. 1 spin doctor to start. That's really good for us. We definitely run that before doing just about anything. We could always deuces first. But we just need to find a Marrow. Because I think she scores out, well, only 2 more agendas. It's not that good, as much as we just kind of want the hand size and more sabotage. Arc lockdown? We can't deal with Hagens no more. All our paper clips are out. We just got Arc lockdown. So name a card, remove all copies of the card from the heap. So again, Anarch, Breakers, Lamau, Balance. So now there's 1 of each of these and 1 Botchless left in our deck. So if there is, heaven forbid, a Meridian, we can eat that. But if there's a Hagen, there's a Hagen. So let's just run server 3. How much sabotage is the deck packing? 3 Chestushka, 1 Finality, and then 3 of each of the hardware. Nothing else. Bah. I am even stronger. I was going to type Arc Lockdown, but held back because I didn't want to jinx you. Yeah, some lists run it. It's like feeling less and less relevant on the basis that there's less and less clot. I think it's a holdover of some of the older lists, but like against Anarchs, it's just, I don't know how consistently they get both of their breakers into the bin. All right, well, we do that, hit our Chestushka. I was joking, but of course we hit our Chestushka. So that is our last way to deal with barriers. Unfortunately, too, if this is a Hagen, we will lose, the Hagen will trash the Botchless, and so the HQ is totally locked in. Let's call it a rip clip, a clip ripper. Rip clip. I think next turn we do Botchless and we just Bravado HQ. A sabotage 1 and 1. Okay. All right. I feel like our aggression has been stymied aggressively. Man, I don't like Arc Lockdown. I don't like a card that just says, oh, your Breaker Suite caught up with you. Game's over. And it's not exactly that. It just feels like that. When the events are that game defining, it feels bad. Especially when it's not like you made a run or something. Okay, so 1 Biotic, 1 Audacity out. 1 Spin Doctor out. What did she spin back? I didn't even pay attention. Maryland. Whoa. And an Unseen. Okay. Surprising. 100% they're on Magnet. They're definitely on Magnet. I think there's a chance. So like, I think if this is a list that's running Arc Lockdown, it's probably an older list. The older lists are probably more likely running Magnet than Gatekeeper. So I do think we might get Magnet checked. Nice. Arc Lockdown is probably only for a couple months anymore. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think we just have to respect. By respect, I mean don't respect Magnet. Arc Lockdown punishes greedy deck building. I wouldn't call it greedy, just playing the Breaker Suite the way it's intended to use. It's literally an ice wall. It's literally an ice wall. That's just insulting. Yeah, I don't think it's greedy. I think it's like, oh, did you build a reasonable, efficient deck with the pieces given to you? You could have held paperclips, maybe not with core. Yeah, but like, I don't play around Arc Lockdown, right? Like, yeah, you can play around it. How's it going, Whitest? You can, but like, firstly, it's hard with core. And secondly, Arc Lockdown shows up in like 1 in every 7 decks. So like, I don't even think it's worth playing around. You did see in some other games where we had the affordability to play around it. Okay, well. Why are we running HQ? I'm not sure. Oh, that's not right. Yeah, Arc Lockdown rotates alongside the Conspiracy Breakers. Undo, click. All right, let's go find that Magnet. Punishes greedy discards. Yeah, you don't need to discard the second one, but I don't think it's greedy. I wouldn't consider it. It is a Magnet. All right, this is our 1 run on HQ for the rest of the game. Mind you, we have no labor rates. This is our 1 run on HQ. It's a Bass Chiraboga. I don't care about that. All right, this went bad. I think it's responsible player on Arc Lockdown and FA Sports. You really think so? I don't think we've been seeing a lot of FA Sports. Maybe it was on me. Wide Magnet. You know, I often see Magnet with 2 installed, but hey, that was on me. I also, when I pre-installed this Botchless, I'm like, probably not worth it because of Magnet. Magnet punish. So I do think, like, I don't know. I feel like Gatekeeper just is a bit better here. That's probably the best. We have to deal with that. Let's draw for money. Could be a Spin Doctor. The legwork's useless. This gives us enough money to trash Bass. Okay, bring down Bass. So we have to win off of R&D somehow. Yeah, I think this is an older list. That's why it's a big thing, is that it is an older list, so it's not what I expected it to be, which, like, there's huge advantages to that for sure. Draw. Okay. Reinstalling the marrows to get sabotage is like totally fine, but the legwork is useless. There's literally no way for us to get into HQ anymore. Chestushka is equally useless. Take core every turn at all costs. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. The problem now is we're holding 3 core cards, so like hitting this one's probably gonna hit. Well, ideally, if it hits the Chestushka, that would actually be like what we wanted to do. We've trained it to do that, and so now it's not going to do it. All right, let's check for a spin first. I don't think it would be a spin. I don't think it's a spin. It's going to be like another bass. Oh, it's a virus. That's fine. Do we trash it? No reason not to. This one's better for us. I didn't hit a Chestushka. Don't forget to trash bot if you instant breakers. We can, but it doesn't really matter because we don't have any more recursion cards. We have no more labor rights. Ice Wall and Archives is going to be fun. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I think it's likely to be an Ice Wall, or more likely to be a Meridian. Like, I don't think we can win besides just hoping that there's enough agendas to be sabotage that she also can't win. So we just need to get into sabotage cards. I think we just click for credits. We could go for single access on R&D. That's probably worth it. Let's get some money to do that. Oh, I don't want to do that this turn. I want to make her feel comfortable that we don't aggress on R&D so she doesn't think that she needs to res it. But unfortunately, we have a Dirty Laundry. Not that we can afford to play it, though. Switch from a virus and arc screams I'm scared of clot. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of clot respect for this deck. Like, it has red level clearance, virus, and arc lockdown. Like, again, meta might be Shaper meta, like her meta. I'm not actually sure. So here, we just click for credits, discard cards. Okay. Someone really needs to submit that bug report where Magnet hosting programs also blanks their MU requirement. Oh yeah, check that out. I got all the MU in the world. I forgot about that. Double duty. Not too bad. So let's see what this is. What was it last time? Oh, it was a virus. That's fine. Okay. So I think we have to respect that it's a spin doctor. So we'll respect that it's a spin doctor first by not dirty laundering it. I think dirty laundry is pretty safe. I don't think you'd put a spin doctor out like that. Okay. So that's a bass. So we have to trash that. And I think just keeping her off of a win condition is good enough. We have 8 credits. This is 5, 6. Yellow. What do we hit? Oh, we hit our... Damn, I want to hit the other one. Careful on steals, it turns on biotic. I feel like that turning on biotic a turn sooner or a turn later is like, it's just going to happen. You're right. But if we don't steal, we can't win. So what can you do? You had arc lockdown, but what about second arc lockdown? It's fine. Now we're set up. There's a biotic. Vitruvius, nice. One more. We got this. We didn't win on finality in the last game. We can win on this one, right? I swear to God, if we see like a barrier. Hey, we got there. Okay. R&D. Yeah, I'm surprised that she didn't push out that as fast. But I think this sort of list, like the ones that are running on multiple bass, it's either you put them on the table and hope your opponent doesn't have the money or time to trash them, or you have to like red level them out. And we've only seen one red level. I think trashing the Audacity is important, but like this deck, inherently sabotage does pressure the spin doctors. It's hard to like Audacity sometimes. Ooh, nice. I can't run HQ anymore. Any barriers on RD? On archives? I think we gotta see one more card here. Architect. I know what you mean. Architect was what Drafter used to be called back in the day, the old Architect. Drafter, mind you, is like a near print of an old card. Yeah. So it's definitely Drafter. Thanks to the game, eh? That lockdown got me bad. Yeah, Architect, mind you, was absurdly good card. Had so much text on it, all of it being incredibly relevant. It was at a time that face checking into this on this channel, we would consider it a game loss. Just because when this fired, it felt like you lost the game. And it was only slightly an exaggeration. Lockdown is spicy. Hey, good game. Yeah, that'll get you. Is this an older list? Because I'm not respecting Lockdown. I feel like Lockdown was the thing that we saw in old sports lists, and like, I don't know, I just don't play against any better. Architect was better. It was way better. I don't think, and arguably it was better. Like, you couldn't run through it. It protected the top of R&D. Like, that's the downside of drafters. We can just send it into drafter. Like, we didn't technically have to break the drafter. We definitely had incentives to do it, but yeah. Champion design cards tend to be strong. I think it's about 50-50. It's really weird. I think it's 50-50. That won't work. Wait, is the champion design not on the card itself? How do we search these? Sports is always good. Second at AMT. Okay, that's actually a relatively new list. Hold on. I want to pull up all the champion design cards. I just don't know how we'd search it because apparently that's not part of the card text. Oh, Reina Murata's list. Okay, cool. So 2 Bass, Maryland, 2 Audacity. Nothing too spicy there. Single fast break is nice. I feel like 2 Mavirus and an Arc Lockdown is like pretty wild. Like, that's a lot of slots to deal with a clot that I don't think exists. But Arc Lockdown has like, oh no, you added an Arc Lockdown. Sick. You threw it in there for bully. Nice. Okay, that makes more sense, I think. There should be a flag. I also think, yeah, Gatekeeper is in there. There should be a flag for flavor text. Hover the search box and it'll show the reminders. Actually, wait, but I don't think it's flavor text, right? I'm not sure if it's considered flavor text. That's a good point, though. It is flavor text? Oh, it's sick. Okay, it is considered flavor text. So if we search a champion, you'll see all the champion design cards. That's more than I thought there'd be. Mind you, a whole bunch of them came out at the same time because that was the Magnum OS pack. So let's talk about how good these cards are. Deuce's Wild, fantastic card. CBI Raid, unplayably bad card, but very interesting card. Shout outs if you haven't seen any of these before. Labor Rights, very good card. Crowdfunding, bannable card. So we're currently 3 for 1. Embolus is not very good. If it is good, the game is generally in a bad spot. So we're 1 up. 2 up on Slot Machine, very good, banned. 3 up for Boarding Control, very, very good, banned. 1 down for Timely Public Release, so we're 2 up. Yeah, I think on average they're pretty good. Trieste is obviously technically good, 3 up. Big Deal, not really doing it. 2 up, Drago banned, 3 up. Mutually Assured, not exactly doing it yet, but I'll give it the point. So I think overall more than half, but it's only like 70%. I think Palace Cafe is a really cool card, but it doesn't unfortunately do much right now. It doesn't have the card support. And then it's like Embolus, TPR, which is the second Dan Dargenio card. Dan Dargenio already did good here. And then CBI Raid. So yeah, 4 out of, what is it? 15? A third? Feel better playing a Big Deal over an Audacity, to be honest. I don't know about that. Audacity is such an unfair card. And like getting 17 credits in that deck seems next to impossible. Let alone this is trashable for 3 credits, right? Like, I don't know how you ever get 17 credits on that card. Like, imagine you're playing against a criminal, right? Oh, arguably Mad got a different card banned, 100%. But like, I think admittedly, if Mad didn't get that card banned, Design Space bans it at some point. Yeah. But no, Audacity is just like one of the best cards on the list. Someone played a Big Deal against me today. Did you win? You don't see a lot of it, and it's a sorted card also that like, it's weird. It's, to me, falls in the same sort of camp as Vulnerability Audit, where there's like just certain scoring plays or scoring patterns and plays that like runners or like seasoned Netrunner players for better for worse expect, right? Like the idea is that there's a card in a remote server when the corporation's on 3 points or on 4 points, you don't often think that they're going to win the game. And then they do like seamless advance, and then they win off a vulnerability audit. It just feels like, oh, okay, the game is over, right? If you did install advance, and mind you, you can double seamless a 5-3. It feels like you have a game. And then they're like, there's some signaling and players, have a game there to defend and to bluff about, which is why I don't like vulnerability audit. The downside of this is just suddenly you lose out of nowhere and it doesn't feel good. And I think Big Deal falls in the same camp. Like you're playing against some really grindy NBN game net deck, and then you take a turn off because like running into game net sucks, and then they just score 3 points out of hand. It doesn't feel good. Like if you see the Big Deal early, then you can try and be aggressive, but like you can't stop game net from getting credits. So cards like this, or like cards like Biotic Labor into what's it called, Red Planet Couriers, to me is also just like, sorry, I lost. It's weird. It's like people complain about corp win conditions, obviously myself included, but I just don't like these win conditions that are just suddenly like, okay, game's over. Oops. I don't know. It's weird. How's Audacity any more fair than these? It's not, but Audacity only scores 2 points. And like the corporation, you're expecting to be able to score 2 points from hand in most matchups on most turns. as opposed to like scoring 3 suddenly out of nowhere. It is a very big difference that a lot of people can expect Audacity. And Audacity has maybe not more ways to play around. Simply run direct access in your Hashiko list. I think you should do this right now. That doesn't fix any of the problems though. Direct access is the weird one that blanks the IDs. This doesn't fix anything. It's not a bad card. It's not the worst card. Honestly, like running this in a Ghost Tongue package is probably the best you can do. It's just like, I don't think that fixes any of those issues. Both of those cards have signals, 17 plus credits and a lot of counters. Yeah, but you can't stop it. And I don't think that's a signal. I don't think our GameNet deck having 17 credits is a strong enough signal to think they're going to win out of nowhere. Because they're going to just have 17 credits. It's what they do. They just have 17 credits. I don't know. It's a 5 influence card. And Vulnerability Audit has no signals whatsoever. I do think the Red Planet Curry one has a lot of signals, but again, that deck protects itself. Wasn't this called Employee Strike or something? I love that card. Yeah, back in the day. You complain about the stuff, but it's all revenge for Gang Sign? You're really hung up about Gang Sign, huh? Gang Sign in some ways feels like sabotage, in some ways feels like noise. It is a card that punishes you the worst when you're flooded, of course, but any pressure deck will. But it's also a card that like really rewards a corporation for having a proactive game plan. These sort of cards punish the sort of corporations that want to sit back and get to 17 credits. So honestly, I don't know. I don't mind it so much all the time. That being said, though, yeah, there's rough Gang Sign stuff. I like Gang Sign. I do like Gang Sign a fair bit. Cool. Anyways, it's getting late. It's past midnight. No, it's actually not past midnight. It's nearly midnight. That is a very, very provable falsity. I think that's going to be it for tonight. Thanks for joining me for some core damage. I love to have like a counter of how much core and sabotage we did in a single stream. I think that's a really, really fun thing to calculate, because I think we did a lot. I think we did a lot of sabotaging today, a lot of core damage. And the acid deck, like, I think it's very obvious that it has some really high strengths, but it has some like pretty reasonable downsides. And I kind of like that a lot. In terms of a deck not being able to just like do a bit of everything, it does a very specific thing, and it does it in a really interesting and a very, I wouldn't say fragile, but it has its, hills and valleys, is awesome. And I like that a lot better than just like the, what's it called? The Hoshiko deck that just has Fermenter Liberated and has all the breakers. So yeah, I think watching you drop Justushka so many times gave me core damage. Okay. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back in a week. I might be doing some recording tomorrow. I'm not sure if time will allow. I don't think we'll be editing a video together soon enough. So if there's going to be another deck dive, it'll be standard and it'll be in the following week, probably on a Wednesday or something. On that note too, if there's any cool ideas you have for like deck dive stuff like that, in largely gonna be the standard format, I think, for the next little bit, because standard's hitting a huge rotation. I think there's some things people just want to explore before it goes, let alone getting ready for COs and like nationals and stuff like that. I think there's gonna be a bit of a focus on standard until, of course, new startup when the new set comes out. There's no rotation, is there? No. Aussie gang catching those VODs, eh? I always catch just the end of the stream, silly Australian time difference, switching with opposite daylight savings, joining the rewatch club. Hey, Dave, glad you can make it for the end at least. Sorry that it ends at such a strange time. But that's going to be it. Take care of yourselves. Good games to everyone you played against. Everyone watching the VOD, hopefully you're doing well. Everyone hanging out in chat. Love that you like hanging out. Andre, I want to see a best of 5 sit down and jam with people in community. What do you mean by that? BO5 sit down and jam with people in the community. Like just play the same decks over and over again? What's your Arkham channel? It's not up yet. You can find it. It's youtube.com/Velma's Diner. Oh, no, you can't find it. Velma's Fine Diner? No, doesn't have the vanity up. That's what it's called though. Yeah, maybe some sideboard. Oh, okay, cool. I don't think sideboard's good for Netrunner. I don't think it is, but that's a longer question that we can't get into. But I'm not convinced sideboard is good for Netrunner. We'll see about that. Cool. Chat over the top, talk about community stuff. I think that's cool too. Take care, y'all. Andre on the best of 5.